Absolute Batman. Absolute, absolute Batman time, people. And it looks like we are live, so there's nothing else left to say. But uh, hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and that's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? It's Sean Escudero, aka Yogi.
Yogi is here. We're here for an absolutely wonderful time because we are here to talk about the book everybody's talking about, Absolute Batman. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive on this run so far. Full spoiler alerts if you haven't read this, but this is one of those books that I feel talking about it is actually going to generate more fans to this series. We were thinking about behind the scenes different ways we wanted to tackle this, and to be honest, there's only one way we know how to in major issues, and that's the hard way. that is deep dive, analytical and philosophical discussions about your favorite characters. And I couldn't do a Batman conversation without my co-host today, Jonathan Escudero, aka Yogi. So I'm glad that you are here, brother. Um, Before we get started, I guess I want to ask, do you remember when you first heard that this was going to be a project?
Oh yeah. Um, Way before it was announced, leading cool, the rumor, the grapevine, was that Scott Snyder was working on an ultimate universe.
Yeah.
DC's ultimate universe. Scott Snyder is working on DC's ultimate universe. And at first you hear something and you go, what the heck is that? After enough rumors, you really start to get interested. Like, what the fuck could Scott Snyder's Ultimate Universe possibly be? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then they announced it, and then we see first, we see Batman. We get to see Absolute Batman, that first cover that we have right there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's become this iconic image now. Like, and I know it's gonna be for like the rest of however long we record comic history. They'll talk about that cover, that first issue of Absolute Batman. But I remember seeing it, and everyone's reaction was like, "What the fuck?" Like, it wasn't immediate. People didn't love it.
No.
Like it wasn't like everybody loved it, right? It was like, what? Like, what's with the bat? Like, that's barely a bat. It wasn't until that first preview image came out for the interiors where the you can see him take off the axe, and people were like, "What the fuck?" Like, okay, that's really cool. I still remember that roller coaster. Like, that was a special emotional roller coaster that is you got to have before Absolute Batman came out. If you were really in the know, like everyone went through it together. Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. It felt like one of those things where every update was more ridiculous than the last. And at cons and at interviews, Scott Snyder would go on to talk about what he wanted, what was actually sort of like the core philosophy of the Absolute book. First and foremost, let's get some homework out of the way. Absolute Batman is a comic book series published by DC Comics based on the character of Batman. The series, written by Scott Snyder and illustrated by Nick Dragotta, began publication on October 9th of 2024 as the first title in DC's Absolute universe. So in an interview with Bleeding Cool, Snyder explained the core philosophy of the Absolute line. He says, the idea with Absolute was to really approach the whole universe with one ethos. Mission statement was, we want these characters to remain true to core, but they're happening now. So look at the hero and think, how can I make this hero more of what they are? If you put them against if you put them against the things in the world today. He elaborated, Bruce is the main Bruce in the main universe is order. He holds things together against the chaos of his villains. In the absolute universe, Bruce is the chaos. He's the force of nature who refuses to believe we can't do better. Um, and I think we spoke about this in our absolute universe breakdown. He says, for my 17-year-old and his friends, I think the persuasive feeling amongst them is that things are more challenging than they were 10 years ago. Ultimately, people feel more estranged from the levels of power. They feel disenfranchised. They feel like their own economic outlook is bleaker as young people. Whether So he made Bruce the iconography of powerlessness, whether that means being excluded from the means of production, things that you make, that you no longer have a say or a stake in the place that you work, whether that means feeling that politics is run by billionaires at this point, special interests control everything. Um, and even with all of that ready to go for this book, he admits that he tried to get out of it during the early stages. He says, I was terrified to take on this book. I told DC that Nick Dragata was the only person I had in mind to partner with for the project. I was half hoping Nick would say no, so he could say, uh, I couldn't do it. I walked around my neighborhood and called Nick, thinking that if he turned me down, it would be my exit strategy from the project. When I told him the origin, he said, I have to draw that. Nick sat there with me in the office and we planned out the entire series such as we see it now, and it was a good 35 to 40 issues, and we just laid it out.
It's so funny that this thing like needed to be born. Like it had to be born. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
every time he would say like he would further explain in like later interviews, like at the particularly at the Comic-Con Absolute Universe panel, how he was completely done. He had said everything he needed to say with Batman. That's how he felt. He needed to feel like he was done, but he was not. That
No.
story existed inside of him without. It was like subconscious because he just gave it to the creative summit as a example of what they should do with whatever character it is that they have.
Right.
And he's like, and then I'll find the guy to do Batman, and it should be like this. And everyone is just like,
You can't be that.
that
How are we
is
supposed to beat
that
that?
is that's the fucking Batman right there. Like, who else can do that? So this, I feel like this story is like it had to be born. And you
Yeah.
said it right there. Even Nick Dragata heard it, and he's like, I have to draw that. It's incredible.
I might take a couple issues off. This is like beautiful
It-
artwork here, so I do not blame the man. But yeah, he says that Scott and I knew there was a really great story in there, and we just had to deliver it and bring it to life. Now that everyone's accepted it and is loving it, we're just gonna go even harder. And I've heard people that aren't Scott Snyder Batman fans say that they love this because they felt like he put a little bit too much of himself in that original Batman run. Now, I am biased. That was the first issue to issue complete run of Batman I ever read. So, I love his take on Batman. I like his gothic horror on it. I like he always does a thing about looking back at the history of the land and of the people and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
I love all those elements that he was able to add to regular Batman. But what do you think about that criticism there that it serves him better because he doesn't have the guardrails?
I don't know if it's better or anything like that. It's different, right? It's certainly different, but if I had any criticism about Scott Snyder's Batman run, we could go into a whole other podcast about that, first of all. But they certainly don't have anything to do with him inserting too much of himself into it. I know that it was a lot of Gotham, like Gotham is New York City, and it's like that type of seeing it from Snyder's perspective. But being from New York, I guess I was biased. I
Again,
never
yeah,
really
like it
felt,
doesn't bother me.
like I always saw Gotham as New York anyway,
Right? Or at least
or New
Jersey.
York esque.
At least Jersey.
I wouldn't put Gotham in New Jersey. As bad as Gotham is, it is not New Jersey.
Yeah,
but, uh, but but yeah, that I don't agree with that.
that's fair. I think in general he's having fun without the restraints. It felt like um when I saw the man go out, like I said, he killed the Justice League, and it just felt like I never got the full um like alley oop. Like he tossed the ball up, and I don't feel like anyone really came after that and like slammed it in. And so it felt
No
like he kind of
offense, Josh Williamson,
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
working with him now.
No, he had to steady the ship, in that middle turmoil of DC as they're canceling things like 5G and stuff. So I absolutely don't blame him. And then you saw what he was able to accomplish, in the universe in general. But yeah, this is so unmistakably Scott Snyder, this book. I'm glad that he got on it again as somebody who already dug him. And I was already gonna get this issue, but as you said, my initial thought about this is like this will just be ridiculous, and it'll just be a ridiculous book that I read. Like it'll just be, what it is. I didn't have really humongous hopes for it because I guess I just wasn't like this is baby's first imprint kind of like what I'm saying, like this is my first time
Yeah.
kind of going through this, and I've also heard of many failed reinventions and Elseworld and things getting cut off at the knees, especially regarding great creators. So I didn't know exactly where to gauge my excitement when it came to this. I was in it for me, for Batman, and for Scott Snyder.
I thought in the beginning it would be I thought it would be more like metal, kind of
Yep,
like
yep.
out off the wall, kind of balls to the wall, excitement, crazy shit. But what the fuck? I have something attached. One of my apps is going off crazy in this ear and I don't understand what it is. Uh but yeah, excuse me.
No, you are fine. I think that
Yes, I like just the way that we saw it at first and thought that it was wild and extreme and then found out that oh this got a little bit more to it. I feel like the whole of these absolute Batman, if you look at it from the outside you think man that looks a little wild, this is like some extreme 90s grim stuff, but then you open it and you read it and you find out it's got all this heart,
yeah,
so like I think that's sort of a metaphor for the whole book.
right. And I think that it does a lot early on. That first issue, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but that first issue does so much good work, lays down so much ground, builds so much of the world, and immediately makes you a fan of Bruce Wayne in 21 pages. It's almost a masterclass of how to introduce a hero, his threats, his world, the stakes, all of that. Um, Going back and reading this has been a delight because I was reading this as it came out, so every 2 weeks, and then I'm reading ComicBookClique, so we were constantly reading a bunch of comics, watching a bunch of TV shows, a bunch of movies, in one ear out the other. Sometimes with this stuff, I knew that the series was good because I remember enjoying each issue, but being able to read the run in basically one go today, really highlighted how tightly plotted this is, and there's a metric ton of breadcrumbs still left for things that I know that they're getting ready to do. And nothing excites me more than knowing that the ground has already been laid for this stuff because comics can get really crazy when a an issue story has to get stretched to 30, you know?
That was another thing that he had kind of mentioned that they at first didn't know how successful it was going to be, so you kind of are worried about how far out you're going to plot it, but then when it became so big it's like okay, well, now we got a little bit of space, and so now it's like he mentioned it's so far the story he has is at like 45 to 60 issues, which is
Yep.
like okay, so we know, like you mentioned, he's got a roadmap, we know where we're going. That's always a good thing.
Yeah. Now, we're about 15 issues into the main series. We have the Arc M special, and we also have the Absolute Batman annual seller books. Arc M like sold out almost everywhere, like in a
Yeah,
day or two. Because I know because I took a day instead of getting it on Wednesday and try to get it on Thursday, and it was missing in most places.
that's a
And I
bad
was like,
move, big
what?
brother.
It was a bad gamble. Most of my books stick around, but this Batman stuff is not stuff to gamble with. The Absolute Universe in general is not stuff to gamble with. I see comic stores take their Absolute books down and immediately put them in $10 bins each issue
That's
because someone's gonna come
disgusting.
back around and grab it later
That's
on.
fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
I can't stand. I will immediately unsubscribe. But I'll end the pull list. I
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah,
imagine messing with a place that takes advantage of their customers like that. That's none of the worst thing. Like, oh, it just came out, bro. It's been a week.
yeah.
You fucking failure. That's why these places don't last more than 5 years. That's
No,
why
it's
I'm
true.
glad to get my books from Everyone Comics in New
You hear
York
that, people?
City, where they treat me like a person and not
Yeah,
a number.
yeah, yeah. All right, man.
Queens.
We'll get into capitalism and billionaires in a bit with this book, I think. But yeah, this stuff has been skyrocketing. But instead of taking you through an issue by issue sort of breakdown of this series, what we're mostly going to do is sit with certain characters, talk about their arcs, and then flesh those arcs out as they were to come. And interestingly enough, with this absolute Batman book, you would think that the very first character that you're introduced to is Batman, but instead it's actually this man, Alfred Pennyworth.
Our POV character,
Look at that
apparently,
beard.
of the entire story.
Pretty,
I
pretty,
love it.
pretty badass beard. So this Alfred Pennyworth is a British Special Forces veteran, and a high-level M16 operative with years of experience in combat zone and intelligence work across the globe. Comes to Gotham on the assignment to investigate a group called the Party Animals, where we'll talk about in a bit, who are operating with and he's operating with total discipline as a surveillance and tactical specialist. He has a daughter, Julia. Is that new?
No, Julia Pennyworth is definitely not new.
Okay,
She's been around for a while,
I don't know
but
about Julia.
it's yeah. Some people use her. Some people act like she doesn't exist. I guess the idea is that she comes in and out of Alfred's life because he wasn't around for her.
Yeah,
He was busy doing whatever it is,
another
you know,
family. You've been taking care of
being
another
someone else's
family.
father. That's the thing that that's why I don't like Julia Pennyworth as a character. Like, it's nothing wrong with her, but it's like, why would you introduce this to Alfred? Like, oh, so he spent all this time and everyone loves Alfred for being like Bruce's dad. That's like really cool.
Yeah,
But he neglected his own kid, so he raised the wrong kid. Like, what
he's
the
kind of a
fuck?
piece of trash, a little bit maybe,
But
maybe.
it's a whole new universe, so
Whole new
she's fine
universe.
over here.
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
it's a different story.
Yeah, and like you said, completely different Alfred. Like my man
He
has a
has no
whole armor.
Alfred
Look at
like the
that.
butler.
My man has a whole armory. Um, you know, he is very clandestine, keeps to himself. Um, and like I said, he has a daughter named Julia. The relationship is strained. He's cold, analytical, dangerous. And at first, when he sees Batman, he views him as a chaotic variable that can make things worse. He ignores warnings from his handlers to stay away, and he eventually ends up tracking down Bruce Wayne and uncovering his secret. It's actually through Alfred we find out about our main character, and we'll get into that in a bit. But in the end, Alfred realizes that they're kind of chasing the same objective: stop the filthy animals. The question that I had that came across my mind when I read this, and it's almost even more on fire because of how quickly it is dropped, or at least not addressed, is who is Alfred working?
I'm not sure that we've had. I don't think it's dropped. I just don't think
No, I
that
mean like dropped in the sense
we
of like
were. Yeah, yeah,
don't pay
yeah.
attention, don't look over here, don't
That's
look over here
definitely
stuff.
what it is because, as you know, later on, or even earlier on in the story, he talks about not his origins, but he does mention a little bit of his past and a person that he used to work with, and we're kind of
Yeah,
hinted that it's Slade Wilson,
right.
and then so you're like, okay, well that's gonna come up later, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
we're just kind of waiting for that shoe to drop,
yeah.
pretty much with his past. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be someone mad familiar. It's gonna be like fucking absolute Amanda Waller or some shit, and she's
I'm
like
I'm wondering.
smoking
Yeah,
jacked.
something about me not knowing who that is, even though again they don't have to color every corner of this universe up front,
Yeah,
makes me believe that that person might even set Alfred on Bruce. Because for the most part they've been kind of having a conversation of like, hey, stay away, up, no, I'm not going to do that kind of stuff. But if this person is actually the person paying Alfred, housing Alfred, if he actually works for this organization, it'll be interesting to see what happens if Joker really has, and we'll talk about his reach, you know how all this might come back around. Who is this person? Or maybe this person ends up being the what do you call it, Max Lord. And this is how the Justice League comes together because they're all working for Max
well, we
Lord.
kind
And
of know
yeah, oh, we know who the
in this
Justice League
universe, the
is.
Justice League
Yes.
would be
Yeah.
the inverse. You know,
Right,
it
right,
would
right.
be,
But yeah, I was just a little curious about that because I feel like that is it's kept very quiet. What do you think about Absolute Alfred?
uh, I always like Alfred as like a military past guy. Like, I always like to know that he's capable. I
Yeah.
love to see a capable Alfred. I'm glad that this Bruce doesn't have a butler, so to
Yes.
speak, and this Alfred only assists as much as he can because it's not like he's been much help.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like this Alfred. I like, of course, like you mentioned earlier, like Scott Snyder mentioned, I like that Alfred is the POV and we're watching Batman. We're like witnessing
Yes.
this force of nature, you
Yeah.
know.
it kind of reminds me of how what I loved about Godzilla minus one, right? Where we are kind of we world build, we got a point of view character, and then like a storm, like an uncontrollable uh force of nature, Godzilla comes and Godzilla leaves. And very similarly, and then it's up to us to try to jump to conclusions as to why he showed up, why he did what he did. And that's what Alfred's doing with the majority of this early introduction to Batman stuff, is he's kind of trying to figure out an angle as to who this guy is. And eventually during his like sort of research is able to kind of get a good beat on him. But having him start the story instead of Bruce, we were talking before about like Scott Snyder and viewing the world through his son's eyes, and I think this is even something we mentioned in our Absolute Universe 101 podcast. But it does come off quite often like Alfred is looking at his son and talking about his son in all the best and the worst ways, right? Like, dumb kid, like you shouldn't have done that, or you know what I'm saying? Like that was and then, oh, I love this kid. This is like a 2-page panel where he's like, I hate Batman, and he's like, I love Batman. But there is this sense of pride every time he sees Bruce get back up, and there is a sense of pride every time he sees Bruce use ingenuity or tools, and you get that same sort of kind of like love, but a tougher love, a which may last longer. I'm not 100% sure, but it really is something that is that ingratiates that character to me, because all the grit and all the guns and motorcycles and all that kind of stuff, he does take moments to just be in awe of what Bruce is, what Batman is capable of. Um,
100%. I agree. I was no, you go ahead.
no, I mean I was gonna get off of Alfred. I don't know if you wanna.
No, it's probably time to move on. I'm ready to talk about this big angry force of nature, Bruce Wayne.
All right, you were talking about the main event of the evening. Look at that! Look at that! Boy got a mugshot. So this is the absolute Bruce Wayne. And Alfred paints a picture of Bruce Wayne, who is a remarkably grounded and obsessively prepared young man. At just 24, this Bruce comes from a working class upbringing, raised by a mother who worked as a social worker, and his father was a teacher. Growing up in Crime Alley shaped how he saw the world early on. Even as a child, his intelligence was impossible to miss. In 5th grade, he won an engineering competition for a bridge design inspired by Batwings, and basically won. And because he won, one of his presents was he was able to go to a school trip to the zoo. Fortunately for Batman, tragedy is never too far, and that zoo trip ended in tragedy when a mass shooting took out his father. In the aftermath, Bruce spiraled into a period of intense anger before eventually regaining focus. He earned a scholarship to a prestigious university, but quickly staged a career-ending injury. Alfred explains that Bruce was already thinking long-term, preserving his body for the mission he knew was coming. During his academic years, he studied applied mechanics, chemistry, criminal psychology, military theory, and sociocultural history, making sure he understood not just how systems function, but why societies break down in the first place. We move forward a little bit in as far as the issues are concerned, because we find out when Bruce returned to Gotham, he immediately didn't put on a mask. Instead, he learned the city from the inside out, worked in power, sanitation, and water, and then interned at City Hall to study public policy. By the time he became active, he understood Gotham's physical layout and political machinery more than most. In Absolute Batman 4, we learned that Bruce's first attempt at being a hero was a theatrical disaster. He tried to become a literal vampire bat by wearing fake fangs, red contacts, and pale face paint. Look at him right there, slashing throats. It's just like the violence level of his first outing is fucking bonkers. He even used a voice box to screech like an animal. During a fight with the Ten Thieves, he actually bit a criminal to inject them with a paralytic toxin, and even brandished a handgun. Bruce eventually realized this whole monster act was a silly gimmick that lacked real impact. He felt like a clown playing dress up, so he ditched the supernatural vibe for a massive engineering focused powerhouse he is today. Look at that big, big, big boy. And he traded the fangs for sorry, he traded the fangs for a big old battle axe. And yeah, what do you think about Bruce and his battle axe and his big ass Batmobile?
Yeah, all this stuff is like you say, it's all cool, but it's all jingling keys. You know, it's
Yes,
like it's not what it's I guess frosting on the cake. You know, it's cool. It's definitely cool. It's extreme. It's bombastic. It seems it's loud. It's necessary. That's the most important thing about this, Bruce, about the whole concept of this absolute Batman. Uh, that it is loud. It
that
is
is it.
disruptive.
Yes,
It's necessary.
it is a necessary disruption. I think that's a perfect way to put this series, and I think that's something that Alfred kind of is in
He's
conflict with.
uncomfortable with it
Yeah, he's in
because
conflict with
he
it.
represents that older generation. You know, he represents the uncomfortable millennial. Like, oh my gosh, should we be acting this loud? Like, should you guys be busting that window? I don't know. Like, that
Yeah,
might be illegal. You know, like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, no, you have to make this noise. This is not the year 2000. This is the year 2026. There is a whole different hierarchy. There's a whole different power. You need to be loud. You need to be disruptive. You need to look extreme. And you need to scare them, and that's the only way it's gonna work.
It's funny because we're kind of dealing with a little bit of that right now, right? Have you been seeing people arming themselves, citizens, regular citizens arming themselves, and then
I
people are like, "Wait a minute, they shouldn't have guns," and it's like, "Wait, I thought that was the whole point was people having
I
guns
think,
to fight."
but I think once you get into that, you end up running into circles.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
that's kind of like there was a time when the traditional values that Bruce Wayne and Batman presented made sense. It's not like
100%.
he was wrong. You know, it's not like the Batman concept was bad. It's not like it's wrong and someone's here to fix it. You know, and that's kind of another thing you feel with this whole absolute Batman. It's like it doesn't feel like he's here to fix it, and they even state explicitly, especially in issue 4. Issue 4 is my favorite issue of the whole thing, I think. And obviously there are other ones that are like better and bigger, but issue 4 is like this is what absolute Batman is. Not just Bruce, not just Batman. This is what we're doing with this concept of Batman that
Yeah,
might have become stale. Maybe we didn't notice. Maybe we weren't paying attention. Maybe we were just happy to have him while he was. But this is what he should be. That's why it's so interesting that Scott Snyder had it, like the story was just like splurting out of him. Like it's not like he didn't want to do it. It's
yeah.
just like like
Like
it's like
it
coming out of
felt
his fucking
obvious to
throat.
him as somebody who had dealt with the character for so long. What because
Exactly.
absolute has become just a kind of a buzzword for this universe, and saying it over and over again can kind of make it lose its meaning. But 100 proof Batman, right? This is the most distilled. This is the most. You got all the other junk out of the way. This is pure, uncut Batman. And I'm pretty sure this
Ex-
Batman is uncut, by the way. But we'll just leave that.
oh gosh.
We'll just the
Uh
Bat Hammer.
hey, the
Sorry, I threw you off.
God damn. Yeah, definitely did. The I didn't know we were gonna get into Batman's foreskin.
Well, you should have known that was. We said we are gonna tackle the entire, the
We're
entirety
gonna
of absolute
dissect it
Batman.
all the way through. Uh
Yes.
no, but yeah, that a lot of people complain, and I know he's trying to pull back, poor Scott Snyder, that he talks too much about the story before it happens, right? Um, because he kind of gives a little bit away. Like he's so excited to tell you now, it's like he'll give it away a little bit. Like, oh man, and then the Harleys, and then they'll take her in, and it's like, wait, is she Robin?
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, like it's like so he's trying to dial it back, but I feel like I really enjoy having that commentary from the creator. It really helps inform the intent. I know that interpretation is a big part of the storytelling, and it's like, oh, we all want you to have your own interpretation. That's why some writers just will never do that type of thing. Jonathan Hickman does not, and I'm always fucking. I'm like, I had to dig deep to find stuff on him. And it's like I like though, I really like hearing a creator tell me their intent. I want to know what they intended with this. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me. I can still have my own interpretation. And even when it
Yeah.
clashes with the creator intent, I can be like, I don't know. Like, I still feel like it was this way. That's just, I know maybe a lot of people can't do that when they get creator intent. And I think that for some, it's just like, I'll keep it to myself. But yeah, knowing his intent with this book, and then knowing how aware he is about the things that are going on in the world, and knowing that his children are of the exact age that uh they would be active in conversations about what's going on in the world, it's helping to inform this, what I think is going to become an important piece of work. And it's like, oh, it's just a fucking cartoon, but it's the fucking sugar that goes down with the medicine that you need to take, that children should be taking. And it's like, I know how certain people feel about things, but I don't give a fuck. If Batman agrees with me, right? I don't give a fuck what this old man thinks, and then they'll
Right.
try to belittle it. Well, it's just a fictional character. Ha ha! You can't deal with reality. No, you fucking numbskull. It's like, it's interesting to see this pop culture icon, this fucking staple of American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just a fucking cartoon. Like, this this is part of America's blood. This is what we export. This is what we have. We have hot dogs, we have hamburgers, we have fucking McDonald's, Starbucks, and we have goddamn American comic books. That's
Yep.
that's like, when we look back at our history, it doesn't matter what was going on then. When things look back on the context as they existed then, we're always looking at the media. We're always looking at the literature of the time. They
A
tell
hundred
the
percent.
story. So this is going to be one of those books. This Bruce Wayne, this Batman is going to be one of those books.
What's interesting in general is that, and this, you know, I agree with you 100%, especially on the whole like fictional character agrees with me thing. I went on a whole rant about that in regards to like the anti-ice sketches that have been coming out and people kind of belittling those. The reason why all that stuff, this, that, all means so much to me is like you said, anthropologists in 100 years are going to talk about this very particular time in American history and world history, and they'll look at the movies and they will look at the television shows. I think it's kind of psycho that we have like um blazed past COVID as quickly as we have, almost to no sell it. Like in
It's a
our media and our art
necessary.
and all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like
It's
that
like, we
we
don't
missed
want to be
something big.
reminded.
Yeah,
We don't want to be reminded. Nobody really wants to think about it. And I think we'll get far enough away from it where the kids that grew up in it will tell their stories about how
yeah,
they felt. But I understand the immediate reaction, like societal reaction, is like, let's not talk about that.
yeah, yeah,
Let's actually just walk away and look back when we can, because that was rough. Like, that
yeah.
was rough.
But I have like even now as somebody who did not live through the civil rights era, right? You you have I have my world history, but as a comic book enthusiast, I have my comic book history, and those histories go side by side. So when something like civil rights happens, of course my curiosity goes, well, were there any writers trying to write black characters? Or how did Marvel tackle civil rights, and who was the first? And you look up and you start seeing quotes from Kirby about stuff and the creation of Black Panther, and you go, wow, somebody in real time saw a problem and they tended to it. Similar with these sketches, similar with this series, we could just, like we did with COVID, hey, we'll close our eyes and just hopefully just get past this very rough period. No, this to me is more purposeful, putting comics up front with addressing the issues that we have to address. And like you said, sometimes it takes watching Star Wars, like your shirt shows, or Andor or whatever, to be like, wait a minute, that is bad.
And I think that there's an effort from people, from bad actors, who to dismiss these things because they want you to dismiss them. They don't want you to hear that message. They want you to dismiss it as a child's play thing. And it's like, I as long as people like you and me exist to know that it isn't, as long as we can continue the context, like we can continue reminding people what is and what isn't, I think that's the best way to fight back. I think that's why stories like absolute Batman are going to be important. It's like it's just Batman. No, this they took an American icon and they placed him in today's reality and they smacked you in the face with it. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to do something about it or whether you want to keep living in it. You know,
I've been like a reader for as long as I can remember. I like to create, I like to write. And when people ask me about why I'm so like obsessed with comics, I always lean towards the inspirational and aspirational parts of the genre of the medium. But I always have to remind people that although Superman and Batman exist in the comic world, it's not them particularly who inspire me. It is the regular dude writing that story. It's the regular dude writing the inspiring story because he's dealing with shit the same way I'm dealing with shit. Scott Snyder lives in the same world that we live in. He's seeing the same news headlines. He's dealing with the same division. You could imagine what his comment section looks like for some of this stuff. And he could bite his tongue, not alienate half of his audience, and just put out a good Batman story. He's done it a million times before. But by having a purposeful story like this that sheds a light on society today, like comics used to, I feel like this raises him, this book, this moment, to a higher pedestal.
it it's it's so it's so refreshing to see that even though he's getting all these comments and even though he mentioned before like he used to get mad about it, but I think after a while you just kind of realize how empty they are and
Yeah,
how like they come from a place of like either misunderstanding or complete ignorance or straight up maliciousness. And so none of those three things, like you can try to combat misunderstanding, but once it becomes ignorance, it's like you can leave it alone. Like two of those three things you could just ignore. It's so empty. So like after a while, it doesn't mean shit. And then you kind of realize that idea that it's half the audience. That might be a little bit empty. That might not be as true as you thought it was. Like, wait a minute. Like I felt like in my heart, it might have been half so many people yelling at me, but hold on. Absolute Batman is one of the top selling comics in the last 20 years. How could that be if half my audience didn't agree with what the fuck I was writing? So like you start kind of to get that confidence in yourself, like like and then confidence in the people around you, like, and that helps you write your work. It's like, okay,
yeah,
now we can still come at this from a place of hope instead of uh depression and fear, which is like sometimes I I was thinking about how Absolute Batman is like in direct conversation with like the Dark Knight Returns,
yeah,
and
yeah. I
beyond
remember
like
you mentioning that
even beyond like
iconography.
the homages, the iconography, the thick bat, beyond those things, just in the way that they had Batman approach the reality that they lived in at the time. Like you just kind of took this timeless icon and you bashed it against what we're dealing with. And it's like this is what was right for the character at the time, but morality stands still. Like morality is solid. Like your beliefs, Batman's beliefs are fucking solid. But when you crash them against reality, it's interesting how they're framed. In Dark Knight Returns, he's faced with like this overbearing, I guess in Frank Miller's eyes, I always believe like he saw it as like Batman was this industrial individual militarizing themselves to fight against the government or to fight against the order,
Yeah,
or to help create this better order because they didn't believe in what the order was. But it was like right wing in that time. Like it was
yeah,
seen as like right wing, like, and the
yeah.
liberal left wing was like seen as like Superman is like bowing down to Ronald Reagan and he's letting the government
Big government.
uh
Yeah,
roll over him because he's too liberal and to do anything about it, right? And that's kind of how it was approached at the time, and that's like it wasn't wrong. And it's so interesting because you'd be like, oh well, you were right wing, Batman was right wing then, why would he be left wing now, or whatever, however you fucking frame these
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah,
But it's so interesting because it's still morally correct. It's like Batman people, it was morally correct then, it's morally correct now, and they're both kind of tackling the same reality in the same loud extreme way. Like
yeah.
it's so fucking fascinating to me how that works, how
No,
how how that is.
I think you're not only right, but it is incredibly interesting because with Dark Knight Returns, it has a little bit of a Death Wish, slant to it. The film Death Wish. And Death Wish is about like an older cop coming in, like this new generation doesn't know, like they're too crazy, they're too out of control, and we've got to stomp this out. They've got to, crack the whip and learn how some respect old school way. And it never questions how those kids got there, right? It never questions what societal elements got them there. They just got beat up because they were a bunch of mutants and think that's what happens, kind of stuff. With this, they trace like we start off with a same similar gang on the street, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. The party animals, but we trace that all the way back to where the incentive comes from to be that way, and it's money, as it always is. And we start to learn that there are certain subsets of society that funnel money to create these situations, this unrest, for their own political, financial, monetary gains, which mirrors a lot of what we're dealing with now. And they could have just left it at an unruly gang, and he could have just beat them up like they beat up the mutants. But by taking it a step further and trying to investigate how we get gangs, how we get civil unrest, we're trying to come up with a prescription for the problem. We're trying to actually come up with what could be the solution to any of this. And while we don't have clear cut answers yet for all of life's issues, I think, like you said, a big mission statement is we need to be necessarily loud and bombastic about this, because staying in the shadows is not doing anyone any favors.
No, and again, I think that at its core, obviously they're telling a story. Like everything about this book is not about like preaching to you. Like that's not trying to tell you how to live your life. It's not trying to make you agree with Batman. As a matter of fact, multiple times it challenges what it believes. Like it is asking itself the question. You know, like the
Mm-hmm.
famous issue, the famous annual. He beats the dog shit out of these Nazis and these ICE stand-ins. And it's like, fuck, that felt good. But at the end, he's like asking himself, like, shit, like
Right.
that was not the right answer. Like, was that what else? How else could I have dealt with this? So like it's having the conversation. It's not preaching at you. And I think that's what makes it so successful. Because even the people who don't exactly believe in what Batman believes in are reading this and having fun.
Yeah.
Like they're not even thinking about it till you tell them. And then they're like, oh no.
Yeah, so the
I
thing is,
like
like,
that.
it's so bombastic that I could excuse people from just watching it and not taking away anything from it. The same way,
You
like I said,
don't have to.
with Star Wars, right? With Star Wars, I feel like it
Yeah.
happens in that way too. Lasers and ships and cool light up swords and stuff. You can totally walk away and just take that away and have a blast. And then if you want to look a little bit deeper, if you want to, see what actually makes the story tick, there's still so much behind it.
That's a big thing for me. I hate when people like I love reading into a story, I love reading into a book, I love reading into a movie and finding out more meanings. Like what that's why I love creators intent because they're gonna tell you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm like,
It's straight
okay,
up what
now
it
we
is.
can...
Yeah.
I like knowing. So but I also don't want to I never want to look down on someone who's just like, but I like the fucking swords and the
Yeah, I
lights
like
and
the
the
way it goes.
flashes and the fucking
Yeah,
yeah. I was like, but me too. Like that's what drew me here in the first place. I didn't come here for no fucking lecture. Like I came to have fun. I came to be within the DC universe. God damn it, I want to fight Darkseid and shit.
right.
I get it. So I'm never gonna be mad at somebody who enjoys fiction that way. That's why the whole Star Wars Andor conversation is like so fucking uncomfortable for me because people are like, oh, all you want out of your Star Wars is a lightsabers. It's like hey, that's probably why they came. I
Yeah,
can't blame
yeah,
a guy
yeah, yeah,
who
yeah,
came to Burger King and wants a burger.
yeah.
I like that they serve steak. I appreciate the steak, but I came for a burger. I really want a burger.
100%.
I like that this book particularly has both has all of that going for all that depth going for it.
You're right.
It's awesome.
They are serving the Batman fan with this book. They put some
Yeah.
broccoli and some other stuff that's gonna make you feel better and make you big
Yeah.
and strong and next to it, hoping that you pick at that too. But you are getting what you ordered with this, and almost in a bigger, more bombastic way.
Yep. 100%.
Um, this Bruce approaches life like an engineer, even taking time to repair damage caused during his nightly patrols. Alfred respects the discipline and intent behind Bruce's crusade, but he also offers a warning. Every crusader has a weakness, and for Bruce, that vulnerability is his emotional connection to
The
Mama.
gang,
No,
because
it's
they
Mama
made it
first.
seem like his mom, right?
Oh,
It's
okay,
his
okay.
mom first, right?
Yeah,
But it's still,
all of
it's
it.
all of it.
It's
It's
all of
all
it.
of that shit. He's so fucking big and beefy. What did they say? 6'9", 420 pounds.
Yes.
That's not a coincidence. But he's 6'9", 420. Uh, but I like that. That's his fucking weakness in the end. It's goddamn. This Bruce is absolutely not alone. I think in his blabbermouth era, Scott Snyder basically mentioned like, oh, this whole story is about Bruce having to realize that he can't work alone. I
Right.
was like, oh, hey, they kind of gave me the whole overarch. Now I know we're
That
gonna get him.
that's
You
also
know how to
true.
get.
But also talk about getting to that quickly, right? I mean, so I feel like certain modern Bat books have that issue and constantly go back to that well where he's like, "No, the Bat family can't help me." And then he gets damn near beaten to death, and then they all show up, and he's like, "Thank God I have
We're gonna help you
family."
anyway.
It's like, why do you do this every time? We know this. That's why we just drive behind you very quietly and park outside until we can't hear from you anymore. But what did you think about the revelation on in issue
His
one about his
mom.
mama, Mama Wayne?
Martha Wayne. That's always interesting. To change a core aspect like that, just enough that it doesn't bother anybody. Like we didn't keep both his parents alive. You know, he still had the tragedy. He still had the loss that would make a Batman. But
Yeah,
he kept his mom, and I was like, you know what? That actually, as comforting as it is, it also worries me because now you've given him another. You can give him another moment of loss. It's like no,
I think that's kind of
no,
the
please.
appeal of Lone Wolf Batman, right? Is the idea that like can't really get to him. He doesn't really care enough
Yeah,
about anything that you can get to him at. And as soon as you start introducing Robins, you get things like death in the family and how all that stuff
yeah.
can impact him. But yeah, you show the mom there, and I'm just like, when is this gonna turn? But
It's
talking about
another thing. I think I was gonna say it's another thing that the Batman, the absolute Batman, and the Dark Knight Returns end up having. It's the damn Batman thinking he needs to be alone
yeah,
because of whatever in his life, and ended up having to come back around.
and then getting a
I
kid,
mean,
adopting a kid.
it's. I'm sure that we're gonna see so many more fucking Dark Knight Returns things because they make an effort to like not just do it thematically, but like visually. They're
Yeah,
like Dark Knight Returns. Like
yeah,
they so many straight up Dark Knight Returns references, and I know you can be like, well, there's a lot of like references to Batman's whole history and lore, but it's like, I feel like they're a little bit more deliberate with the like every time, almost every time they do a Dark Knight Returns reference, it gets a fucking single whole ass
yeah,
flash page.
yeah. That's true.
Like it's we're supposed to be thinking of that book when we read this book. Like I feel like it probably should be necessary reading. Like you should read The Dark Knight Returns before you read Absolute Batman, or you should have read it. You
Yeah,
should have read it anyway.
yeah. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that this could be that for this generation. I mean, you talk about how much Absolute Batman colored Batman for decades after that.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Returns would go on to solidify all black on black and gray. Badass, surgical, almost militant Batman gets ushered in through Dark Knight Returns.
For better or worse.
Imagine, yeah, for better or worse, and imagine reading that and going, how could I, dare I say, improve on it for modern audiences? That's kind of what you got here. Um, we learn through this issue about Thomas Wayne, a dedicated elementary school teacher who died a hero, like we said in the shooting. During the class trip to the Gotham Zoo, a gunman opened fire, and Thomas used his body to barricade the students inside of the bat enclosure. Saved the class, but died in front of Bruce. And then we learn about his love of his life, Martha Wayne, who's still very much alive in this world and works as a career social worker. He eventually steps into public service as the deputy mayor. He's Bruce's emotional anchor and the one person who can still get through to him, representing the compassionate side of Gotham that
she's
he's fighting to
basically
protect.
she's basically Leslie Tompkins,
I didn't even
but
think about it like that.
like
Ooh,
his actual mom, like instead
yeah.
of like a surrogate, right?
There's some lady
She
he
even
shows up to when he's got to get stitched up.
I really get those vibes when they establish that her and Gordon know each other. Like, and they have like a not a relationship, but like they have a friendship. Like they have a repertoire. They have a not a repertoire. Is that the word? You know, they have
No,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Rapport.
yeah, rapport. There you go. That's what the fucking word I was looking for. But they definitely get Leslie Tompkins vibes. Another thing about the dad dying is that 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 single thing that he goes back to save a kid, and
Hmm.
that's why he had to get caught. Like
Yeah.
first of all, you know, it makes him a hero, which we do love our Thomas Waynes to be heroes.
Yes.
But
Unless you're writing
they,
for what was it? What was the other one? The Batman?
oh no, the Batman, isn't it? The
Yeah,
movie where
yeah,
he's like
yeah.
a fucking
Well,
questionable.
yeah, you don't know.
I thought they were long Halloweening it.
I think Joker is the worst one. Joker is the one that does like
Oh, that's
Thomas
right. It makes
Wayne.
Thomas Wayne into Donald Trump.
Yeah,
What the fuck? God damn it.
very
Tired of your
strange.
commentaries on this family.
That's why that second Joker
It
didn't do too hot, bro. I'm telling you, they just said they got set
was
up
the
to fail.
karma for what they did to Thomas.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
but making them working class people, making him a teacher creates this need and urge for knowledge from Bruce, which will then lead to him becoming an expert in all the things that he became. It's very like it's one of those things that is so small and but is the perfect catalyst for everything else that you almost stop to think, why would regular rich Bruce Wayne go out of his way to learn all that other kind of stuff? Like, I feel like he would have just paid
Yeah.
people to teach him more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
At least today.
yeah, yeah,
Certainly today.
yeah,
Um, the whole thing about them being working class and growing up and living in crime alley, like living in crime alley. We lived in crime alley. That's where they come from the hood.
yeah,
Like Bruce and his friends and his mom and his dad, they're from the neighborhood, and they all them little kids and little rugrats that he used to hang out with.
yeah,
I love that. That's the place where the whole story expands from. Like that's so fucking
yeah.
cool. I think they even said in an interview that like the first image Nick Dragotta drew was Bruce with his friends from the neighborhood, the crime alley, and then that's like how the story kind of expands from there. I guess when you put it on your whiteboard or
Yeah,
whatever, you
yeah,
do
yeah.
your fucking
That's pretty cool.
craziness.
Um, I think that also by making the mother a social worker, you talk about somebody who has to have seen the worst of society, but also still is hopeful for the youth and doing their best to get people out of shitty situations. So that colors it. But oftentimes, like I think of like and I love the Dark Knight trilogy, but I think of like them riding the trains in suits and shit. And like, see these poor
We
people,
built this
Bruce.
train,
We
Bruce.
help all of them, even that guy over
Yeah.
there.
Look at him. Come here, Stinky. Here's a
Want a
hundred
quarter?
dollars.
How much is a how much is a sandwich nowadays? $1? Here you go. Like, you understand? There's a little bit of that there, and I feel like this. There's no question about it. Like literally, when shit hits the fan with Sionis and the party animals, Martha's on the ground, literally on the ground. You know, and when given a choice, she actually chooses to want to sort of become um uh deputy mayor, which we'll get into in a little bit. Can't talk about the deputy mayor without actually talking about the actual mayor, which is boom, Jim Gordon. He's not the police commissioner here. He's the mayor of Gotham. He's the one who found Bruce in the Bat House on the day of the shooting and has looked out for him ever since. He is a good man in a bad system, or as other people would say, he is a decent man in an indecent time, trying to fix the city through policing and policy while Roman Sionis and the party animals tear it apart. His daughter, dun, 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 Barbara Gordon, Black, has taken a more direct approach by joining the GCPD as a beat cop. He's right there on the front lines dealing with the chaos of basically Black Mask and his goons and the violence in the street every night.
We haven't met her mom, right? This universe is Sarah Essen. Or not Sarah Essen,
No.
Barbara Gordon. God, they're so weird. Why did you name your freaking daughter after yourself? Like,
Very
they don't do
strange.
that.
Very strange.
Whose idea was this?
I
Have they fixed that?
the only thing I know about that's like that is the dude from Twilight, Taylor Lautner. His wife is named Taylor, so when they got married, she is now also Taylor Lautner. So
God, you are
that
all weird.
that's a little weird. Um,
Tay Tay.
Very little about these two. I don't. I think Alfred almost acts as Gordon in this.
in a way, because we do get a small, like we don't get much about Barbara, but it's like we like they've set both of them up to kind of come around later. Like it's like I would like to see what we're doing with this Gordon. So far, they've shown that him and Martha. I mean, he was kind of helpless when they were fighting against people in
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's huge too, though. I was
He
like, I
is.
forgot. Gordon is fucking massive. Everyone in this goddamn universe is just huge. Uh,
I am confused about the succession. So does it
it's the
go Mayor
steroids in the
Hill?
chicken.
Does it go Mayor Hill, Gordon Mayor Hill?
it, it, I I'm not sure. Is there a new? I didn't even
I
realize there was another. Oh, because
Mayor
he's
Hill
on
is
his
the
way
mayor
out.
at the end.
He's on his.
Mayor Hill's the mayor at the end. Uh, Gordon just loses the vote. Like
Election.
he's with Martha. And he's like, Martha's over. Like there's nothing else that can be done. He gets shot, and then while he's recovering, Hill's campaigning to be mayor, and is shown to have shady dealings with Sionis, and has had shady dealings even all the way back. When you do the first town hall meeting in issue 1, someone's like, Mayor Hill should be in charge. And someone's like, he's corrupt. Maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't do that again. He's corrupt. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I guess that seems to be the case because Gordon says he beat Mayor Hill in the election to become mayor, and usually it's a mayor against
It,
somebody else. It's not two new people, is it?
well, it could be. It's certainly not guaranteed that way, right? Because there's so many different reasons why, like, Mayor could have died, Mayor could have got fired, like, could have went to jail, like any. There's a lot of reasons why two guys could have went up against each other, and one of them might not have been mayor previously.
Uh-huh.
But it's definitely meant to reflect the idea of people knowing someone is corrupt and still voting and letting them in.
And
I've
still
certainly
believing that
meant
things are
to,
better because you can't
yeah,
see what seedy,
yeah.
backstage politics are going on. Um, Now to one of my favorite parts of this story, obviously a huge change from the original Batman mythos, the introduction of Bruce's Yogi. When I first saw this picture in issue 1, I had a very sinking feeling in my stomach already off the rip. You can go back and go to comicbookclique.com where I reviewed issue 1. I want to say the week it came out, and I say like these are all people names that you recognize as becoming parts of Batman's rogues gallery. Now how we get them from here, these cute cuddly smiling children, to there. um Before we break down his crew a little bit, what do you think about introducing them this way, or at least having them be this part of Bruce's life in this story?
Inspired. That's what it is. That's such a goddamn choice. Excuse me. Like I mentioned earlier, having him and the rogues come up from the ghetto together. And it's basically that, like, because people always talk about how like Batman is order beating chaos, like he's beating chaos back into place. But we're talking about a world where order is wrong.
Yeah,
So having him be part of the chaos, like they said that they did, but like literally here, part of the what we know as the chaos, the
yeah,
roads, and all of them fighting up against the broken order. That's so fucking awesome. That's so
yeah,
awesome. And again, and then there's the brilliance of launching the absolute universe and not making it a reboot of the DC universe where it doesn't feel like, oh no, how could they have done this to them? It's like, oh, this is such a cool thing next to
yeah,
well, them. Like this is such a cool other thing that also now that it exists and it's accepted, it's like when I'm looking at it personally, I'm thinking like this is an interesting upgrade. This is like this kind of that's what's crazy that it almost feels blasphemous about things like this. It's like it feels upgraded. It doesn't feel like, it feels like we we kind of waxed off the concept like, oh, it was a little dusty. We've kind of fixed it. Like this Batman And it's probably because Matt Fraction's Batman is building so slowly right now. But this Batman feels like Batman right now. Like this
Yeah, I can
this
see
is
that.
Batman.
Well, I mean,
Like
I also blame Hush, but Hush too. But other
we don't talk
comics,
about Hush
we
too
don't
in
talk.
this
We
house.
hush about Hush in this home. But no, I think um by saying it, improving it, the evolution, I think it also tremendously raises the stakes, right? These are not just randos in the street that decide to become cats and bats and penguins and animals to just attack Batman. It's seeded in his history, and I think it ends up becoming kind of a tale about how society just ends up chewing these people up and spitting them out who find themselves in the crime alleys of the world in lesser, affluent situations. Um, it also is a kind of it makes Bruce's isolation a choice because when he's rich, little prissy Bruce Wayne, ain't nobody hanging with him anyway. They don't really show him to have like many friends. He doesn't really show. I don't see many instances of child Bruce Wayne at the public park hanging out with people. But the idea that like this group was running around Gotham, right, knocking over trash cans and playing cards and throwing lit matches, apparently, um, you know, builds this real just grounded more relatable not only character but world. I feel this world. You talk about uh Gotham serving as a surrogate for New York. You're two New York kids and these look like a bunch of New York kids. These feel like a bunch of New York kids.
It reminds me of the Ninja Turtles from Mutant Mayhem, the little YN
Okay.
turtles.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, bacon, egg, and cheese,
With the
bacon, egg, and
band,
cheese.
you're yeah.
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 That's kind of how I see these kids here with Absolute Batman. Probably because it's Scott Snyder, probably Lower East Side and not Bronx.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah. Not
uh
too far though, not too far.
I don't want to like when I say it feels like an upgrade, it feels like wow, this is Batman right now. I admit too, it's partly because the main Batman has like taken a back seat. Like he's right, even in DC, in the main DCKO thing that's going on right now, he's taking a back seat. He's in his own pocket right now, dealing with his own character stuff, and it's got like nothing to do with the big stuff going on. Maybe he'll come around at the end, but he's been sidelined entirely. In his main book, they are slow building to something greater later on. So it's like right now at compared to Absolute Batman, that's already been out for a year and has already got gears going, and it feels like we're already invested. It's kind of feel this just feels like Batman right now. And it only helps that the concepts feel like uh improved versions. But I don't reject Batman. I don't reject Batman. I want to make that so clear because so many people who reject the idea of Batman as he is are also attached to this book. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, I hate
He's like
Batman.
anti-Batman, they believe, or something like that.
Yeah, like, and there's so many of those conversations that I hate to have because I've had them so much, and it's so easy to disprove about how normal Batman, beats down society. He's beating the mentally
I mean, he
ill,
just
and
donate his money,
but
fam.
yeah, exactly. Like he should just put his money into Gotham instead of beating on the criminals.
Yeah.
Like I am not that fucking guy. I think this is the stupidest goddamn conversation. I just think that this is really fucking cool. This
Yeah.
is really fucking cool.
But you know what? To put a pillow on your jackhammering of this Batman being possibly a evolution or an improvement. I don't think it's wrong to say that because this has the enormous task of taking an 87-year-old character and moving it forward issue by issue with purpose. You know how many decades Batman moved without purpose? Like literally, like just to get an issue out, just to sell a story, just to introduce a character. Batman has had when you are going on as long as you have in that direction, many years, you can end up aimless. And some of these characters that were the biggest and baddest are the biggest and baddest until the next biggest and baddest shows up. And some of these relationships become strained. You just talked about Julie Pennyworth. I don't know who the Julia Pennyworth is, and like you said, it sullied things. Her introduction, it sullied your relationship with Alfred, and so I think this is an improvement because of its purpose. It has more responsibility issue to issue because it has every Batman book that ever came before it, right? Whereas the Batman book had to do everything from scratch and had to come up with these ideas in the first place. You don't the first person to do a Jimmy Superfly Slick splash is cool, and then you see a 450 splash, right? And it's not, you don't stop saying that splashes are cool. You just go, wow, what an evolution! You took a concept that, thank God, somebody created in the first place, so that somebody else could then improve upon it. Somebody who could see things that the originator couldn't.
I even I even sometimes reject the idea like that Batman's always order beating chaos into place. Because I feel like even some of those first stories, like even originally, he was beating up just like Superman. They were beating up kind of corrupt parts of the system. You know, like
They also, yeah, they took out a lot of assholes. I'll say the word. They took out a lot,
like
like just an asshole. Like, you double park,
but
I'm
people
whooping
in
your
power.
ass. Yes, I'm saying, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
they
yeah.
oh
But
no, they were also
but
really
rich
you
assholes.
better stay in school, kid,
Yeah,
or I'll kill you.
you're beating your wife. I'm hanging you off the side of the bat plane. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Bro, did
It,
we
that
ask? Wait, did she hit him first? Bruce,
yeah. He's dead. The leg stopped kicking.
there was that too. But I'm saying like they they weren't like always like, especially Batman. He was fighting against the fucking police. That's like one of the main aspects of his thing. Like there's
Hmm.
always orders doesn't seem to accept Batman. He was doing the same thing this Batman is doing now. That's why I'm like, I don't reject that Batman because he did that. He did it first, just like you said. He was doing it first. He was the loud thing going against what was a lot of times it was disguised, but it was against the fucking order. It was against
Yeah.
the things that were in charge that were not right. They just weren't right.
Mhm.
Um but again, it's just a lot more. I think nowadays, like I mentioned earlier, it needs to be louder. It needs to be more obvious. You know, it can't be that anymore.
So, like I said, I think the a real key of this relatability is bringing these friends around, because I think we all have loved ones that we want the world to be better for. And by giving him this set of friends, you automatically give him a goal. You give him people that he wants to protect, in a city that he wants to protect. So, in this absolute universe, Bruce grows up as part of a tight knit group of kids from the old neighborhood who looked out for each other. What makes this circle stand out is that several of them are characters who usually end up, as we said, as his enemies in other versions of the story. They were all at the zoo the day Thomas Wayne was killed, and that shared trauma kind of forges a bond that never really breaks. We have the first person that we're introduced to, which is Waylon Jones. He's a professional fighter and the owner of Croc's Gym. He serves as Bruce's primary combat trainer, helping him build the physical foundation he needs for what comes later. He has a well-known fascination with reptiles and runs a side business, called Wayne's Scales of Gotham. More importantly, he is a man with a strict personal code. At one point, Bruce and Selina try to get him to fix a championship fight to help him raise money for the gym, but he refused outright, choosing integrity over desperation. We have Oswald, usually called Oz or Ozzy. He's the group's link to Gotham's business underbelly. He's a shady entrepreneur who uses his influence to manage paperwork, permits, and licensing for his friends. A regular at the poker games, Oz represents the street level commerce that keeps the city running, legal or otherwise. Harvey Dent fills the political role within the circle, holding a position in city government. He helps Bruce understand public policy, macroeconomics, and the slow moving machinery of power. Harvey is the one who understands how Gotham thinks and how decisions ripple outwards from City Hall. Edward Nygma, or Eddie, is the intellectual heavyweight of the group. Brilliant and endlessly curious, he thrives on mental challenges and theoretical problem solving. His value to the group lies in his raw intelligence and his deep and almost obsessive understanding of Gotham as a system. And
I don't.
finally, oh, go ahead, brother.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Get
No,
this one out.
and finally, Selina Kyle, the emotional core of the group, and he shares one of Bruce's closest relationships. He is this universe's Catwoman, obviously, and has been a constant presence in Bruce's life since childhood. They often work together behind the scenes, aligned in purpose, even when they clash over how far they are willing to go to get results.
And they're in love.
And they're in love.
Which is which is it's like it shouldn't be a surprise. It is Batman and Catwoman, but no, they bang quite
Is that
often.
now? Here's a controversial question, real quick. Is that a quote from Gotham?
That they bang?
Well, that they
No,
like
or that they know each other from.
kid friends or
I
whatever.
I would think it was more like a side effect of them putting all the villains with him as kids. But I wouldn't be surprised if that whole concept came from like think watching Gotham.
Yeah.
Uh
It makes it a lot more. You talk about improvements, right? Like now, this is not
yeah.
just some kind of shady, sexy criminal that Batman just can't seem to figure out. This is someone he has allegiance to. So if he chooses not to arrest
Yeah.
her for whatever reason or whatever, like they go way back as opposed to her just being a sexy jewel thief or whatever. I think that's an improvement.
I get it. But I as you were kind of listing them out here, I don't think I ever fully realized how they all take a different part of the Batman that we know, like of the DC universe Batman. Like each one of the rogues now is uh is a person who gave Batman one of the traits that we know him for already.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty wild.
They
Although
were
in
all
that
created
list,
for the
I
most part.
noticed
I was gonna say they were all created
maybe
for the most part
Selena.
to combat those aspects, or at least test or challenge them in the main universe, right? Like all they are representatives of people challenging skills he already had. Whereas in this universe, they're the ones who actually give him those skills, give him those leeways, to get his fingers. Uh, there's probably a better pun, but get his fingers deep in Gotham. Absolute fingers. You
Absolute fingers. Oh
absolute
gosh.
fingers.
Uh, no,
Coming next week. Absolute fingers.
I was gonna say, Selena maybe is the one that I'm not. I don't seem to trust her. I think like
Interesting.
she went away for too long, and she's been through too much. And I think I don't know something about Bruce and Selena. It's like this is like a cursed relationship. You know, like I don't know if it works if it's straight up. You know, I think there always has to be a conflict that if it didn't exist at first, then it will come later. Because
Yeah,
it's the reverse, right? At first, it's like the conflict first, and then later on, they fall in love. But if they fall in love first, and then the conflict comes after, it's like it's another inverse of Batman's mythos, and it kind of hits a little harder. Like, oh,
yeah,
like what were you doing? Like, do you want to know? Like, I don't think so. Well, eventually, we're going to know. Chekhov's gun was introduced. We're gonna find out what the fuck she was doing, and she doesn't want Bruce to know about it. And so I don't trust Catwoman. I don't think that she's necessarily working against him. I just think that she is connected to the power that Bruce is fighting against. And she is going to have to probably learn to let go or not. You know, I think that's the thing about growing up where we do is that we all see the same things and we all go through the same things, but we don't all react to them the same.
yes,
So if she gets a taste of the power that holds them down, she's not going to want to let go of that. And that's interesting because that comes from like Catwoman, like regular Catwoman has
yeah.
those issues all the time, you know? So
She's
that's
almost
pretty
taking
much,
back what she
yeah,
perceives was taken from her in the first place.
exactly. Exactly. And then and it's like, how could you say she's wrong? Like, how could you ever tell her she's wrong? You know?
Yeah,
So that's about where I see where that Catwoman arc is going, but
yeah. I mean,
it's cool.
Alfred recognizes her and has heard tale of what she's done. Far
Yeah.
away. So there's a
She
little
just
bit of
whips his
that.
ass.
Yeah. So
Shut up.
there's a little bit of that there. I do wonder what the conflict is going to be because immediately my mind would go to like her being extreme and him being a little bit more pulled back. But in the Bane fight that we'll go into the other way around,
No.
he's all like, "I'm gonna fucking kill him." He's like, maybe relax a little bit.
No,
So
I do think it's gonna be one of those. I think it's just gonna be a matter of who she's connected to and
yes,
what they've done and whether she's willing to continue to reap the benefits of something that's hurting the people around them. You know, like it's
yes,
still hurting Gotham.
and
So that's
and
gonna be
and by
interesting.
the way, because I'll probably forget about saying it when I talk about it, he now has a canister of venom on her.
She does. She does.
So whatever that
Just
means.
in case.
Yeah,
She didn't shoot it, right? She kept that shit.
she kept one. They took
She,
out two. They had one on reserve, already. They took some from him, used that, and then he took the other one. But we are soon introduced to our first antagonist of this series, Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. Uh, same name, same moniker in the regular universe. He is a nihilistic force who has destroyed Gotham's traditional criminal underworld and replaced it with a gamified system of chaos. Sionis seized control by wiping out the city's crime families. He lured Falcone and Maroni to his yacht, and revealed that he killed all their relatives before killing them. With the old guard gone, Sionis cleared the way for his chaotic empire. After taking out the families, Sionis. Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I was gonna say the bringing, because this happens very early on. Roman brings Falcone and Maroni in to show them that he's already killed off their family, like their mafia family's gone, and so he just kills them too. It's like another one of those meta things that they do in this book, where it's like this aspect that you think it's absolutely gone. We killed it. Don't expect the mafia in this Gotham like type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a lot of those. They're heavy handed sometimes, but they're
No, I
fun.
think I think that works perfectly here because the mobsters are not the shady gangsters in our society currently, right? I'm not like,
Yeah,
oh
I
no, it's
love
the
The
mob.
Sopranos.
I'm like, oh, the mob, yeah, it's a damn mob. It's like, no, it's a damn government. Yeah, so those are fucking goons throwing people into, the black bags and throwing them into the ocean.
Yeah.
Um, so after taking out the families, Sionis unleashed his paramilitary crew, the Party Animals. Um, and I think this is the like almost genius of it. You don't get into till later, but via the method of this breakdown, let's kind of tackle it right now. Each member of the party animals wears a skull mask with a heads-up display, synchronized communications, and audio modulations to coordinate raids. A deal with the Gotham City Police Department gives them complete impunity, letting chaos run unchecked. The party animals operate on a digital currency called Black Coin. Each mask links to a wallet that pays them for crimes, with rewards scaling by severity. Theft and vandalism earn basic payouts, arson and assault pay more, and assassinations yield the highest rewards. The Sionis has basically turned nihilism into profit and is keeping Gotham in constant turmoil. When you talk about the money incentives in this current day to create constant civil unrest, come on,
Yep.
bro. You know, like,
Yeah, that one. That's another one. That was like I saw that one. It was, and I like that it was Bitcoin. Like I like that it was digital coin. Like
yeah,
why not?
yeah.
Why not throw
And
that shit in there
it
too?
would have to be an illegal coin, and he pumped and dumped. He shot that
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
up and fucking dropped it
You don't
down.
got anyway.
But I love this idea because I think it's a tired trope that these roving gangs are just a bunch of malcontent people born bad. I don't like that oversimplification. I think, but the idea that you give probably lesser off people incentive of money that does a bunch of stuff, does a bunch of weird. Look at Nicki Minaj right now. Right? It's a bunch
I
it'll make you turn on your friends. Is all I'm saying.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
Uh, they. I thought that was a really interesting I thought that was a really interesting thing. Though it did make me like wonder about like the full list. Like there's gotta be a full list of crimes. Like that's crazy. Uh there are other unmentioned, unnamed, unteen crimes that I'm like, this is just a crazy ass concept that I never even thought of. Like I'm almost mad that he put it out into the world. It's gonna come out, it's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
come back
yeah, yeah,
around. Like,
yeah. Well,
it's gonna come back around on us.
they had a something I wouldn't even know. I don't know if it was even that similar, but it was like a Truth or Dare movie where the people had some sort of tech that they were given, some sort of mysterious person was giving them these things to do, and then they would get money, or maybe they were trying to get like keys to their daughter who was kidnapped or
It's
something. But
not
it
like
was
it's not like the purge thing, right? It's not like the
no,
one of
no,
the
no.
purges.
Like I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but
We're
yeah, it was just the
purging.
idea that these crimes would be incentivized. Um, and if you're rating the city's going to shit, why not throw more fire onto the right? More fire onto the pyre if they don't really care. So again, just it's really just feeding into this nihilism feedback loop, which is kind of what we're dealing with today, where there's so much bad that people just check out, they just stop fucking caring, and the only thing that make them care is to give them a leg up in this broken society, and the only way to get a leg up at all is with money. That's the only thing Sionis is able to offer these people. But like we were talking about before, his control extends into Gotham's political world. He maintains an alliance with corrupt politician Hamilton Hill, who seeks the mayor seat following an assassination attempt on Jim Gordon. This connection ensures Sionis' influence reaches beyond the streets, giving him protection and leverage over the city's official systems. Like we literally see Harvey Bullock, who is fearing for what's going on in Gotham, go and meet with Sionis. You know, like a I don't know. It's like if like I don't know a president met with like a tech billionaire just to kind of figure things out. It's like shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't they be coming to you? But hey, it is what it is in this situation. Um, confident. Oh well, I don't have a breakdown of this, but we can do this from memory because I think everyone knows this. But the very first interaction between the party animals and Batman sees them try to take out Gordon in City Hall and a bunch of guys in masks showing up and trying to hold basically everyone hostage when this humongous man falls out of the sky, absolute Batman with his cape that sort of hardens to create almost hooks like a bat actually has hands and feet that it walks on.
Yeah.
Um and he just kind of goes to town taking these guys out. But I think one of the first things that caught a lot of people off guard is this panel here where he removes his ears to show that they are sheathed knives and then
I
proceeds
fucking love that shit.
to stab all of these filthy animals. I keep calling them filthy animals, WCW. All of these
Yeah.
party animals to smithereens. And I think a lot of people were taken aback just in general, right? Because Batman is not seen to be very bloody, but this ordeal is extremely bloody. All
Chopped
of
the dude's hand off with the bat on
Yep,
his chest.
yep.
That was awesome.
And even throughout this, while this is being done, and Alfred's kind of watching in awe, he says, like, "Oh, and he missed every artery." And I'm like,
Yep.
"Yeah, that's Batman." You still
That's
got the
Batman.
brutality, and you still got the no kill for the most part rule. And I think he maintains that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what to bet my life on it, but I'm pretty sure he tries to not kill people throughout the rest of this story here. Um, can you talk to that first interaction, that first fight scene? What did you remember thinking reading Batman taking out these goons in such an impressive fashion?
I thought it matched it sort of matched the aesthetic. Really, that's the first thing I thought, which is like, oh, this is gonna be a wild ass extreme story. Then it
Mm-hmm.
goes back to what we said about not being able to do things subtly anymore. You can't be like, oh, and then Batman hurt them all,
Axed
but
them.
just
He beat up
enough.
one and then
You
told
know?
everyone, "Oh, the rest of them, you guys go home."
It's like, no, if there's a something that needs to be said, so say it and
hmm
then do it.
He also
And so
curses
he
a
does.
lot. Did we,
You fuck.
is this a time to say that? He fucking
Yeah,
curses a
I
lot. It's
mean,
fantastic.
consider what he's going through,
He's also
I don't have
23. What do we say? 24?
Yeah, he's 24 years old. No time for watching his language. He's
No.
just got to get it done.
Um, what I do like is, their fight kind of goes tit for tat for a couple of issues with Sionis and Batman until Black Mask forces a 1 week truce with Batman in exchange for a bunch of money, millions and millions of dollars. He's like, bro, just like, just chill out for a week and just let us run roughshod over the city. And yeah, it's $200 million basically. So Batman ends up meeting Roman on a Gotham rooftop to finalize their deal. Jonas already wired $200 million to Bruce's account in exchange for a 1 week truce. Bruce immediately reveals that he spent every cent. Instead of keeping the money, he turns it into a massive bat symbol. Da-da-da. Look at that fat bat made out of cash. It almost looks like one of those paintings, right? What is it, Starry Night? Um uh yeah.
it kind of reminds me of like two separate moments from from the Dark Knight trilogy, where it's like the time Batman made the first bat symbol out of people, and then the time Joker set the money on fire. It's
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
got to
yeah,
put
yeah,
those
yeah.
two things together, you know, and like it's
Hmm.
created this awesome moment. At
Like I
least
said,
that's I don't
like
know if it was that, but
pulling
yeah,
from like Kino Batman stuff. You know, it's not like only the
yeah,
best, only 100 proof,
yeah.
only the best. But yeah, built into a massive bat symbol inside the memorial light, which happens to be the giant spotlight at the abandoned Gotham Zoo where his father died. So all of that, comes full circle. He remotely triggers it, projecting the first ever bat signal into the sky. This bold declaration proves that he can't be bought. Furious, Sionis cancels the deal and orders the party animals to attack. Outnumbered, Batman fights through waves of Sionis' men. In a ruthless move, Sionis, saying that right, Sionis orders snipers to fire into the crowd, killing his own men just to strike Batman. When Bruce tries to shield him, he's trapped in high-tech nets. And then I'm like,
That's
I had to
the
look over each one of these panels in particular because my man goes through it. After he gets kind of put into these nets, um, Leonis mocks him, insisting that in this world money is the only hero. And then the party animals beat him up, stab
just
him, and then set him on fire.
it was a great subversion of the fucking building up to this big face off, and like we're gonna take care of this right now, and then
Mm-hmm.
just beat the dog shit out of him and just beat his ass, threw him off the roof.
And
It's like no,
they're showing him getting shivved. Like they're showing him in other
yeah,
panels getting shivved,
rated T, baby, rated
set
T.
again, set on fire, um, and then just thrown off a roof. And I'm sitting there like, this is not only bonkers, but like, if this book is about resilience, this is the panel that shows that resilience, right? Like, how badly can you get beat down, and still manage to come back up? So he ends up getting stabbed. Like I said, beat, set on fire, and thrown and pushed off a rooftop. As Bruce falls, Alfred, who had been watching him from the shadows, intervenes and rescues him, cementing their alliance. Bloodied and broken, Bruce returns to his friends and family and finally reveals his identity to Waylon, Oz, and Eddie and Harvey. And he realizes he can't win this war alone. And again, like boom, right there. He tried to do it alone, and that's what happened. But now he has like a crew. And I love that
Never mind.
I love that he came to that his own conclusion instead of having them having to. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you're right. My heart did grow 3 sizes, that day or whatever the fuck." The final confrontation of the zoo arc, Absolute Batman takes down Black Mask through a series of tactical and brutal maneuvers on his high-tech yacht. He infiltrates the vessel to shut down the servers, fueling a citywide bounty on his head. They just start dropping off crates of masks and guns,
Yeah,
and it's basically martial law. He high price for murders, and Gordon and Martha have to deal with this on the actual ground, so it's terrifying in that sense. But he ends up taking out all the party animal security team, at one point punching a guard entirely off deck with one hit. The brawl moves into the yacht's luxury bowling alley where Batman uses the environment as a weapon, overpowers Black Mask and his remaining goons using heavy equipment, including a bowling ball to dismantle the group.
he beat the shit out of him, brother. He was knocking people with bowling balls across the room. Like
I mean, look
you
how
talking
my
about?
man showed up, though. That's what you're talking about, right? Dark Knight Returns imagery
Yeah.
right there with the lightning strike. Um,
Yep.
like you already knew what he was about then and there, and then always this panel here where he kicks. That's Sionis's kid. He kicks
Uh,
Black Mass's
I
kid.
didn't know if it was his kid. I thought it was just like a random ass member of the group.
Yeah, yeah.
He just kicked him. He just
Well, it says, "What are
launches
you?
him.
Stop, man! I'm just a kid. You can't." And then he proceeds to punt that
I do.
child. You
There
can't.
was
I
a
will.
there was a great moment here where, like you mentioned, he goes against his friends, and this is where his friends find out that he's Batman, or some of them,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What the fuck?" You know, like, "What the fuck?" And
Yeah.
he's got no time for explanations. He's just like, "I need help. You're in or you're out." And they're gonna help him because he's goddamn Batman. But this is such a pivotal moment in everyone's life.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
they if he had thought just another second further, like if he wasn't just 24 years old, he might not have made that decision because it's so, I don't know.
The domino
It's a
effect.
little, it's reckless. It's a reckless move.
Okay.
It's a mistake, and he's gonna find that out very quickly. But as his friends are like reluctantly helping him because he won't answer them, he won't tell them anything. He just needs their help. He kind of wants to use them as a tool. He's letting them in, but he's not letting them in all the way, and that's a mistake. That's
Not only
not.
that, but some of them actually realize that they have been tools up until this point, right?
Yeah,
Whether it
yeah.
was training him like Wayland or teaching him about civics, like Harvey, or they have all kind of been manipulated. Remember when he shows up with the mask, like acting like it's casual conversation? He shows up with the black
Well,
mask, and he's like, "Hey,
it's that great scene where they're just playing poker. And this is where we first meet them, that we first see them
yeah,
as adults. Like, oh, these are his friends, and they call him Wayne and Ozzy and all that. We realize, oh shit, these are rogues. But he just drops that mask on that same poker table, and it's like, oh, I need help. Where'd
yeah,
you get that from?
yeah."
Don't worry about it.
That's what I'm saying.
And so
He
yeah,
didn't let them in there, but he was willing to use their expertise and tech and intellect and all that stuff to get his means.
yeah, and so uh, that's kind of like he's let them in, but he hasn't really let them in. He's still just using them as tools, and that's the mistake. That's why this is such a pivotal moment because it's like he was wrong. He was completely wrong here to do it the way he did it. But
Yeah,
it looked cool.
yeah, yeah. It
It
does.
did
It does.
look cool.
And I think it's natural. I think it's natural to come back around and be like, well, fuck, I tried everything else and I almost fell off a building. Guess I'll try to rope these motherfuckers in. Um, so the big moment comes when Sionis tries to garrote Batman, use that wire around his neck and take care of that. He's talking all the shit. All the shit. Sionis is just mocking living hell out of Batman. So Batman rotates the reinforced ears of his cowl downward and stabs him through the eye hole. Look at that.
Right through the eye holes. It was like, whoa, holy shit. I mean, he had done a lot of extreme things until now. There was this great gag where he opens up the spikes on his suit
Oh
when he
yeah.
first fights the party animals, and the guy's like impaled in like multiple places, but the suit opens up so it doesn't kill him, like goes to his shoulders and shit. But
Yeah.
and then the next time he fights the party animals, it's like the same dude like wrapped in bandages is like trying to fight him and he's getting the shit beat out of him. And the same with the dude that got his hand chopped off. He like
Yeah.
comes in the next fight and he's got like the knob wrapped. And
Yeah.
he's looking for revenge.
At one point, some
And
dude's hanging on him because he's impaled by the spikes on his suit and can't get off of him.
yeah, while he's fighting.
Yeah. He's like, I'm stuck. This is bullshit.
Oh gosh.
Really, really good
So
stuff.
great.
Yeah, so you had a bunch of moments, but this was like I mean, for like an ending, like a conclusion for this arc. Uh, hard to beat. Hard to beat. Look at that. Right into the
For sure.
face. While he was damn near getting his neck sawed off by garrote wire. Um, so Bruce ends up destroying the server banks and effectively ending the financial rewards for the Gotham Chaos. But to uphold his non-lethal code, while still being absolute Batman, Batman puts a life jacket on the severely beaten Sionis before tossing him into the Gotham Bay. So,
Okay, good
you know,
luck.
yeah, I said, I don't have to save you.
Yeah, right. Although this Batman, I would understand.
Uh, the, um, the aftermath reveals Black Mask was a distraction for the real threat, which is the Joker, who is disguised as billionaire J.K., who has been orchestrating events from behind the scenes, covered in babies. And then he summons Bane to finish what Sionis started. What do you think about that first arc, the zoo?
Yeah, no, the zoo was awesome. The zoo was just to set the stage. Like we're setting the stage for all these things that have to come. Yeah, yeah. We had our conclusion with the party animals and all that, but it was we set off so much. Like so many things were set in motion
Yeah,
here. I thought the zoo was awesome. I That's why I think Batman, absolute Batman is gonna be it's kind of got that. They called it in the retailer summits at Comic Con. They called it like manga esque
Okay.
feeling to it, where you can pick up the first volume and just get right into it. And so you pick up that first trade paperback, The Zoo, and you read The Zoo. You're like, you gotta have more. You've got to have more of this Batman. That's what. That's why this is gonna live on in graphic novel form like forever. I think if they were smart, they would make sure to keep these very cheap forever. Like, because manga is what, $8. You can buy a fucking volume of manga, $8. They're doing a great thing with the compact editions that only cost $10. But I feel like with the important stuff, don't keep it too hard. Try to keep it affordable, and they
Yeah.
have. I think it's only like $18 a volume or something like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
got um uh Batman, Superman. No, I didn't get Superman. I got Batman, Wonder Woman, and no, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman for 13 on a sale, hardcover.
Actually, I own the single issues, but I'm still going to buy. Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm flexing
Yeah,
that
yeah,
baby.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but uh, but I'm still gonna buy the trades because one, I'm not letting nobody read that.
That's
That's fucking
basically why
signed.
I got the trades, and I might even have to get a
But
paperback because I have my hardcover. And I don't even know if I want to give that to people.
yeah, oh, you have the hardcover. Shit,
Yeah, I have
I
the
didn't
three
even think about
hardcovers.
that. I might get because I was thinking like I, I wanted to get it soft cover. One, I don't know, something about the feeling of soft covers. I prefer sometimes. Other times when it's like
100%.
prestige,
I don't want to deal
like
with the jacket. I don't want to deal with the fucking
you
the
know, like
jacket. But now that I have the
yeah,
hardcovers, the raw cover where you take off the jacket on each one just looks cool as fuck.
it
So
does look very cool.
I'm like, damn.
And you don't want to mess that. Then I don't want to mess that up. It's like it's too prestigious almost. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to lend that out. You know, like I'd rather get the trade paperback, the paper version, or the soft version because I can lend it out and I don't have to feel like I'm gonna actually I'm gonna hold on to that dust jacket. You don't need that to borrow the book. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, right. Keep those things in a fucking in a vault. My favorite stories that I want to lend out, I bought used trades for because I know that they're gonna be tossed around, and I'm just trying to pass on the knowledge. But some of this stuff, again, personal collection, personal like I have a personal feel for this series, and I don't buy a lot of trades hardcover for that reason. But I feel like this is prestige, like this is like Criterion
that's
Collection
the thing
kind of
too.
comics.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's take a second to talk about
Sure.
Absolute Batman #1.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
because this is getting crazy. There's a big conversation about this book. So
There is.
about last November, um, you start noticing that Absolute Batman #1 is going for like $100 online. You're like, oh shit, that's it reminds me of Scott Snyder's New 52 Batman, where it's like those first three issues were going for like $100 online. It was hard to get. But, that's where that ended. That's where that hype ended. This fucking book is now slowly creeping higher and higher and higher. And it's got people worried like, oh gosh, like, are people, is the speculator market what's keeping Absolute Batman going? Like, are people just buying this like because the frenzy for #1 kind of makes people think about like is this driving the frenzy for the rest of the issues and is that like sustainable,
Yeah.
like is that eventually that bursts, right? That kind of market bursts, and then when that
100%.
bursts, are people still going to be buying Absolute Batman? I think that, and I even talked to Mark Wade about this earlier this week.
Your friend Mark
I
Wade.
It's my friend Mark Wade. We were on the phone, how that stuff goes. I talked to him exactly about this earlier this week because I think that this is a little different. I don't think that this is as weightless as some of the other things that have come and gone that have seen this kind of temporary burst in popularity. These lines that they introduced, Marvel's new universe, remember
Right, right.
1980s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This has happened like so many times, and eventually
Bro, every new
hype
age of
does
hero
die
#1.
down, right? Hype dies down, but I correlate a lot of that to how those books end up being seen in history, like after the hype dies down. Like when the 90s bubble bursted, when you look back at the books these people were fiending to buy was fucking
This is gonna.
garbage, bro.
I'm gonna get some stuff for this, but is it strange that 30 years some odd past it's coming out? I still don't know what happens in Youngblood #1. Is that
You
weird?
see what I'm saying? Why would you care, right? People were buying that shit because it looked good. The artists were driving those books hard back then. And I understand that. It's a visual medium. The first thing everybody noticed on the damn cover, Nick Dragota's art, not Scott Snyder's writing, right?
Hmm.
That's what attracted people. But I just feel like the balance was off, and that's kind of obviously we can get into this forever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why Chris Claremont left X-Men. That's why Jim Lee gained more power. That's how the weightless 90s extreme comics took hold. And I think when you look back on those books, they're worthless because they were worthless.
Yeah.
They weren't worth buying at the time. They weren't worth owning. They
Right.
weren't good stories. I'm sorry. I'm
They weren't
sorry.
driving the
They
conversation because what was in
they
them.
weren't. You
Yeah.
know? And so this absolute Batman, I think, and other absolute books are like a watershed moment in comics history. Like we're going to remember this. I'm gonna give it a little while, but
You might get another one #1.
no, I'm not gonna get
Oh,
it. I am
okay.
now that goddamn this shit costs so much now. But I'm glad to have gotten mine off the shelf. Right? I bought mine for $5. I don't
Same.
really care about monetary value as much as like inherent value, like to me and to the history of comics, like not just the money, but I think obviously the money goes up with the value, the historic value, but that's not always the case. In my collection, I've got many books that I feel like are important to DC's lore and history that I got for like $5. Like they
Yeah.
don't matter to anybody. Like fucking Guy Gardner, One Punch Batman. Like
Hmm.
that's like a fucking legendary Guy Gardner moment to me. Like that's a highly valuable moment to me to own. It's a $5 book.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like things like that. Like I think that this absolute Batman #1 is going to hold that inherent value, that the because it's quality. And the
Yeah.
monetary value, maybe it'll go down a bit. It's probably not gonna be I don't know what's gonna happen with the monetary value. Maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go back down to $50. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm glad that I own the first print from the day that shit came out. And I don't blame anybody who got on the bandwagon, who got on the wagon late. Like you didn't trust it. You were gone from comics. This brought a lot of people back to comics.
Yeah.
And talking about it's on its 10th printing. They've sold 3 million copies of the Absolute Batman period. So you have to figure issue #1 on its 10th printing. First printing had about 150,000. So well, maybe 1 million copies of Absolute Batman #1 now exists.
Yeah.
And probably a less of a fraction of the first print. But
And other variants and other.
that's another thing. Variants. Good Lord. This
Hmm.
book has so many variants. There's you could start a collection of absolute Batman #1 variants.
#1s, just
You
#1s.
know?
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
That's why I understand the conversation about like, is this sustainable for this book? Like, are these records bullshit? Like, is
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
inflated numbers? That's why all those creators were that got caught in that damn group chat earlier this
Slack.
week. The Slack, there was a bunch of creators, comic creators, both independent and corporate, who were in a group chat complaining that absolute Batman sales or the absolute universe sales are overshadowing and taking attention away from their books. But they're on the other hand pitching to get on absolute books, pitching to get on DC Next Level books, trying to
Anything.
get
Yeah.
good
Some
with
traction.
Scott Snyder. So it's like this book is causing conversations on so many levels about so many different things that I feel like it is already historic. This is already a historic issue.
It's
I'm
so
so glad to own
strange.
it.
It's so strange because I have purchased issues with the mindset that this is going to be something important later down the line that I just kind of want to have. And that's not why I got Absolute Batman #1. I want to act like I was some sort of seer, who saw the value and all that kind of stuff. I have it because I like it. And I think I'm going to have it for a very long time. You think like money comes and goes. Sometimes times get harder. You need some money, but like I'm just happy I have it. so it doesn't equate to
Yeah.
money to me.
Yeah.
And I don't say that to be holier than thou. I love this stuff, and I'm so happy I was able to get on the ground floor of something like this, and I'm just kind of going on the journey. So you start hearing after the fact about how valuable it is. Guess what? I
I
read
already
books.
got it.
Yeah, I got it. But also in the same sense, I read books that will make me sit in the dark and cry, that will never get the same level of popularity. And I
Yeah.
rock with those books with I have the same value in my mind of those books as I do some of
Yeah.
the humongous big two books that, are worth millions of dollars. If it means something to me, is that really all that fucking matters? Oh wow, you happen to agree? That's pretty cool. That's kind of how I feel
It,
about this.
I don't want to be like holier than thou, but it gets to a
But
point.
not fuck
You
with
know,
you.
it gets to a point. It does. Because, like, all they're doing is like, I. There's the scales of justice and everything. I'm a very malleable guy. Like I don't really. Maybe you say I don't stand for nothing. I say I believe what I believe in what I believe in. I believe that everything has nuance.
Yeah.
There is obviously people are helping the comics industry by putting money into it. When you
Mhm.
buy it, when you buy this book, you put money into the industry. The secondhand market, that money doesn't go to comics. I don't have no obligation to support or feel bad for or advocate for the secondhand market beyond, oh, the book that I need is still available because some guy is selling it. But the problem is that so many people buy books because they think it might be important, and not because they think that it's going to be a good book, but because they think it might be valuable.
Mhm.
That's You're taking it from people who it is already valuable to.
Yes.
That's what
Isn't that
fucking
interesting?
kills me.
That's so interesting.
That's that, and it's just sell it. And now you're selling it. Now you want to take it from that person to sell it to that person. You're a piece of shit. I don't got no fucking. There's no scale. There's no weight on the other scale of justice for that. Like for me, like I don't feel bad for you. Oh, I gotta eat. No, you don't. You're such a fucking loser that this bottom feeding activity of taking advantage of a fucking picture book audience is how you got to make your money. That's how you got to eat.
That's kind of like, you know, obviously it was poor planning on my behalf. That's kind of my feelings when that stuff happened with Arc M. When I couldn't get an issue of Arc M, it just screamed to me like everyone's just grabbing this issue, and I'm like, I just wanted to read it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to grab it, hold it, and don't let no one else look at it. I'm on this journey, and I've been on this journey for a year and change now, and I just kind of want to continue it. Now everyone's on the bandwagon, so the bandwagon's a little bit louder than usual. But like you said, and like those creators should have figured out anything to get people talking about comics. You understand? If people are like, "Oh, everyone's just coming in to get Batman," well, guess what? Be the fucking book next to Batman.
Exactly. That's such a funny complaint. Like, goddamn, Batman's on the whole top 10.
Too many people in the comic book stores looking for Batman. Well, guess what? Your book is also in the comic book store. You dope Muppet.
Well, like, there's a conversation to be had. Oh yeah, certain people buy things just because it says Batman on it. Fine. That don't got nothing to do with your quality, bro.
Yeah.
Focus on you. Then I don't even
Mm-hmm.
want to hear about. I don't even want to hear about those fucking creators or their issues that they have with
Yeah.
other books selling better than them. That's the most loser thing you could complain about. Another group of losers. You and the speculators should all get
Get
together
together.
and fucking protest or do whatever the fuck. Just go away.
Yes. Yes, please. Yes, please. Um, Getting into the next arc here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is when we oh because we get into a situation where Bruce is, when he's looking through like the files and stuff, he sees this idea of Arkham, a black site prison. He wants to look more into it, so he contacts his boy Matches Malone. I was very happy to see that Matches is a real person in this. And Matches is kind of a shady individual. Like he's able to get in and out of places, get info that you need. And basically, he worked as like an intern at Arc M, so a bunch of shady stuff, and is about to give Bruce some proof, some evidence, some a way in when he just like randomly succumbs to like a biological disease, a biological attack, and then just dies in his arms. So Bruce flips the hell out and he's like, you know what, I'm about to go, storm this site alone. But his friends, Oz, Eddie, Harvey, and Selena, refuse to let him, pushing back against years of self-destructive behavior. In the rain, they call him out. We have like this really somber moment. It's all in shadow. The entire interaction he has with his friends, um, where they call him out, asking him if you have a death wish. Are you trying to die? Like, we need to talk about this Batman shit. Where it's not just a situation where you get to use this and abuse this. What you're doing out there is unhealthy, and we need to know if you're doing this because you're trying to kill yourself. Um, Bruce finally admits his guilt. He blames himself for his father's death, and his friends reject this, reminding him Thomas died a hero, not because of a mistake Bruce made. The group solidifies, insisting that Bruce goes to Arkham, but he won't go alone. What do you think about this little somber moment, friends? I mean, I don't think Bruce has ever had this conversation before.
I like the idea that there was another one that they lost.
Yeah.
As far as like Matches Malone. Matches Malone was a childhood friend. Matches Malone was the kid that Thomas was trying to save when he died. It's like he took it worse
Mm-hmm.
than Bruce did.
Yeah.
And so he fucking spiraled out. And it's like the friend that, he gets strung out. They ended up on drugs. It's
Mm-hmm.
the ghetto. It's the hood. This is kind of the things that happen. And so Matches Malone, like you said, being a real person, that was really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And then the moment between friends, the art, the cold, the like, it's like they're all
Silhouettes.
silhouettes. It's like it's so good. Thanks for Goda's art.
And
We gotta
also, they talk to him
we'll
like
talk about
friends. They
that.
curse at him, you know? They call him names. Like, they talk to him. They don't, this is not like a.
He gets punched in the face.
Yeah. He get Waylon, right? Waylon punches
Waylon
him in
punches
the
him in
face.
the face. But they're like sparring. They've sparred before. Like this is kind of I don't know. A lot of people don't understand. Like certain men, this is kind of how you communicate.
Yeah.
Very physically. That's a real thing. That's like
100%.
I saw it. The goddamn Hiroshi Tanahashi retirement.
Yeah.
And Shibata comes out and he's like, "I'm not gonna cry. We're gonna fucking fight each other."
I can't handle
That's
my emotions. Let's do this instead.
like
Let's do
that's like
this.
such a
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
men. We can't handle emotions.
Yeah.
We're built for it. We explode when we shouldn't.
It's brothers
And so
nooking each other, right? Like, it's just
yeah,
get this physical testosterone out, but it's
that's what it
appreciation.
is. That's really what it is. It's more than friends. It just feels like family. This is his brothers, telling him, like, Bruce, what the fuck is your problem? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want to die? Are you stupid? We've been here all along. We know what you know.
Right. And the thing is, he's never gotten that kind of conversation in regular universe. Right now, he'll get it from the Bat family or something. Maybe Selena, maybe Alfred. But for the
But
most part, like, having people at his level be like, "Yo, you ain't doing this alone." First of all, let us know if you're trying to kill yourself. Okay, if you're not, then we can do this together. I think that's cool. We get introduced to our next absolute villain, dun, 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 Victor Freeze. But he's Victor Freeze Jr., a Gotham cryogenesis genius and a brutal mythological villain. His parents, Victor Sr. and Nora, founded V Corps, a cryogenics company in Gotham, and both are kept frozen in the lab alongside other specimens they've collected. As a child, Victor Jr. was frozen himself for a rare illness. When he woke, the experience left him twisted. He felt every moment of the freezing, and the exposure to a mutagenic bacterium in the ice altered both his body and mind, giving him the ability to manipulate cold and freeze others by touch. He works with Arc M, running lethal experiments and maintaining a frozen army because wealthy clients who believed cryogenics could make them immortal, or even people who were suffering from diseases and were hoping they can be frozen until a cure can come out, have become part of his army because he's able to unfreeze them at his will and then send them to attack they need to be. And it happens to be Bruce who shows up trying to investigate what happened to Matches. Um, Bruce ends up getting like captured and is trying to be frozen, but eventually ends up breaking out, escaping, and getting out of from the whole situation with Freeze. And so then immediately he's like, "Well, now that I know what the hell possibly happened with Matches, let me start calling up my friends to tell them, let's get ready to do this." So he calls Waylon, but Waylon is kidnapped and taken to Arc M for experimentation, raising the stakes for the next fight. I felt like the freeze thing was pretty concise, pretty cool, all pun intended. But I don't think we've seen the last of him yet.
Oh, we certainly haven't. I loved the artist that came on for these two issues. It gave it such a different vibe.
Yeah.
It was so colorful at points where this book hadn't been. There was a moment that actually went a little too far for DC. An editorial had you
The
censor
flamethrower.
uh yeah, there he does a flamethrower and he's like, all right, knock knock motherfucker. And it was supposed to say it like on the page, knock knock motherfucker.
Yeah.
But they forced him to take the thing out, so it just says knock knock, and he does like a middle finger with a flamethrower instead. But
Yeah.
I felt like it ended up looking better. I don't know, like I like the way it looks, the knock knock with the panels on the bottom. It came out better, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolute censorship he's dealing with over here. Um, yeah, I thought it was a cool little thing there. The freeze thing makes me laugh because if you're any fan of Snyder's Batman, that was a big point of contention, right? He reinvented Mr. Freeze for his role, making Nora like some stranger, not his actual wife. He was just obsessed with some woman that was cryogenically frozen, which kind of makes
He
him
was just a
think what a
creep.
weird gooner, some kind of ice gooner or something like that. Um, so it's like people gave him a bunch of crap about that. So and he eventually ended up undoing it. But yeah, we get absolute freeze here, and he is
Now
working
they
along
just
in Arc M, so we know that he's tied to that whole, you know, many fingered hand.
and Victor Freeze gets to be with Nora.
Yeah,
Like,
forever,
always wanted.
forever,
Forever.
Nora. Um, yeah, because they deserve a happily ever after. Someone does. The story takes a dark turn when Barbara Gordon informs Bruce that Wayland was arrested for breaking the citywide lockdown. This is bullshit. And Bruce knows this bullshit. So he basically deduces that the city's covering up for this. So he enlists Alfred, he gets his close friends to come together, and using old blueprints of Gotham's plumbing and ventilation, Bruce infiltrates Arkham as Batman.
There's something so topical about supposed agents of authority creating a reason to kidnap you and take you to this site where they can actually lose you and not know where you are anymore. It's so fucking it's so real that
Yes.
happened. You would think like, how could you lose it? No, we're watching that shit happen every
At a
day,
black site.
actually.
At a black site, it's not like they tell you where they're taking them anyway, right? So like at a black site, and the idea that he's going in there to get someone he perceives to be a family member. Come on, man. Like that's all what's happening now.
Yeah.
Um, the facility is a technical labyrinth. They do like a pull-out shot of the entire thing. It looks like a city. Um,
This is this is another great um moment where a character makes a mistake that
oh, he
we
goes too
find
far.
the no where it's Bruce is preparing to enter the Arkham. Well, he doesn't know what it is. He's preparing to enter Arkham, and Alfred has an opportunity to warn him about. Well, he could have given him at least some more information about what he was
Right,
getting
right, right,
into
right. Yeah,
because he knows. But then he hesitates and he doesn't for whatever reason.
yeah.
And a lot and just
He's like,
he
I
even
wish I could have
feels
told
later
you,
on,
kid, or whatever.
yeah, I should have told you. But he fucking didn't. And so he lets Bruce go into this Arkham, which like you said, then we pull out and we discover it's like a whole almost a city underground. This Arkham uh black site.
Yeah, looks pretty sick. Um, Bruce quickly loses communication, and I'm like, this is not good. And is confronted by Bane, who brutally defeats him and hands him over to the facility's medical staff to become the next member of the Arkham experimentation. But this is like he beats this guy down. We're talking about pressure points. We're talking about breaking arms. Um, and Bruce like calls him like a juice head or whatever. It's like you're on juice, like, oh, you have no idea. And then he like juices up, gets huge, and then has Bruce like by two fingers. Like he's holding up the entire Batman by two fingers. Um, what did you think about this introduction of Bane before we get fully into what makes absolute Bane tick?
The funny thing about Bane here is that like I don't know that he's so different from regular Bane besides having I don't know better written motivations.
Yeah,
Like I think that's kind of what makes it work. I don't know how much you can change the Bane. Like Bane is meant to be that brick wall. So like, what do? You just times it by 10.
yeah,
Like,
because you're
why
already times
not?
Batman by 10, right? So it's like,
Right?
mm-hmm,
It's
that makes a
just
lot of sense.
it's perfect.
Um, let's show this big bastard. Yeah, big suit. And that's who made that overcoat for Bane? I have no idea. So in the absolute Batman universe, Bane comes from a war-torn Caribbean island of Santa Prisca, where he grew up alongside his father as part of a long-running rebel force fighting for freedom. After a failed revolt, Bane, his father, and the other rebels were sentenced to life in Peña Duro, which eventually is Arc A, the very first version of these arcs, these black sites
Yeah.
used for experimentation. After 11 years, Bane led the remaining rebels in a breakout and sailed back towards Santa Prisca. On the beach, he didn't find an army waiting. They found the Joker. The Joker told Bane that his father's military strategy would never bring lasting peace and offered a deal. He would ensure Santa Prisca's independence and prosperity, but Bane had to serve him. So, as a proof of loyalty, and I guess as the only available currency, uh, Bane kills his father, crushes his father's spine with a massive hug, killing him instantly. I guess as a show, not only as a show of strength, but as a bout of loyalty
Yeah.
to
And
Joker.
stop putting your damn ideals on your kids. Jeez,
Yeah,
folks.
right.
That's like that's such a big thing. Like God, they gotta discover their own path. You're just gonna crush them out from under your thumb anyway.
Or
Like
they're gonna
that's
get
the
big
whole
enough to crush
thing.
you.
Like, oh, they'll get big enough to crush you back. That's just exactly how that goes.
I got my images out of order, but I just want to show this one real quick. This is the beautiful panel work of Nick Dragata during the revelation of Bane. There's the image in the middle of Batman is has been going around, kind of like him furrowing his brow as he watches parts of Bane's
Yeah,
body get like abnormally large, and the
that's my
veins and the
favorite. That's my favorite fucking meme from Absolute Batman. He's just concerned.
yes,
Like,
yes,
oh God.
it's
Because
an
this whole guy,
yeah.
his whole existence is in this goddamn universe is just like constant concern. What the fuck?
What do you make of the imagery of the blood and venom? I feel like they play a lot into that, and like later on in the big main event fight, they're almost constantly showing the venom line, like the tube line, as blood more
I
and more
think
blood gets into it, or I guess it's vice versa. Maybe it's a bloodline and more venom gets into it
I thought it was like the venom running its course type
through the
thing, like
blood.
through the blood. And then I don't want to say like running out because I don't think it ever like ran out of steam,
No,
but like yeah, just like coursing through the blood, just like constant like showing the venom coursing through and going into the veins, no longer in the tubes,
yeah.
you know. And it's cool artistically. That's um Bruce. Oh, excuse me. I was gonna talk about the whole other the next fight, the second fight by accident.
Well, here's another cool image for the folks at home of Bane just lifting lifting Batman up with one hand as Batman, outstretched. It's a perfect final panel for this issue, and immediately the next issue just started to sell like hotcakes. That was another one of the issues. Like I don't remember the first couple of issues selling crazy besides one, but around here, 9, 10,
It was the
11.
freeze. It was the Mister Freeze. It was the Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Those went really crazy. And then after this panel right here, like you said, this is when people outside of the comic community started to take notice of Absolute Batman. And I've
Yeah,
seen so many young people reading comics for the first time because of Absolute Batman.
yeah.
It's wild. to me because there's so many, and I know it's young because there are so many influencers, excuse me, comic book influencers popping up. And it's like the only things that they've read are the things that are out now. And it's so cute to me. I'm like, look at them. Look at them all. I don't want, I'm like, okay, some of you should probably get some foundational reading before you start talking about what's good or bad.
Yeah.
But like, this is so cool. Like,
Come on
look
in.
at
The
you
water's
all.
fine. Yeah.
All these babies.
We did
This is
that.
interesting.
We ran that story about that actress from Heated Rivalry wanting to be Starfire, kind of going around
Yeah.
the circles, usual circles. What's funny is like almost immediately after, what's said is that she is reading Absolute Batman and loves Nick Tricada's art. And while I'm 100% sure that that's true, I think that anyone kind of going for a comic book thing can pick up these 15 issues, right? Like this brand new series, start from the beginning. Think about it. If you want to be part of this, if you're young and want to be part of this, like I got in issue to issue reading about 15 years ago, and it felt enormous then, you know? Um, so if you're coming straight off the street off of this stuff, I could see that, and this is a perfect jumping off point. I'm not gonna rain on your parade if this is how you choose to go at it. But I do believe, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people fixing their ties, going, well, an absolute Batman 3, and it's like, bro, yeah, um,
Read Dark Knight Returns, buddy.
yes,
Like
and then
that's
come
it.
and then come back.
We'll
Um,
talk.
so from the moment he broke his dad's back, Baines becomes a Joker's
Read
lead
some.
enforcer. He's like his attack dog around the globe, carrying out assassinations and terrorism and shit. I thought it was pretty cool.
Also, read some damn Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil.
No,
Don't
big ear
fucking. I don't
Batman,
want people.
big ear Batman, baby. Shirtless Batman fighting with swords in the
Yeah,
desert. Unless you know what that's about, don't come, don't
don't
come around
fucking come
here.
around here.
Don't come around here. Um, while also becoming his attack dog, he submitted to grueling medical treatment with Venom, something he had already been tested on, or that was tested on him when he was at Arc A. Um, and so this super steroid enhances both his body and his mind, giving him strength, strategic mastery, and near photographic recall. Bane's body is permanently integrated with Venom, making him physically dominant without needing external tubes, but he has that one that goes straight into his brain or whatever. Like he's already super
Yeah,
huge. He can always ramp it up. Um, the same chemical is shown to be deadly to most people, explaining why someone with Bane's discipline survived the process at all. Later in the story, Bane is deployed to Gotham, where he operates out of Arc M, the Joker's linked facility, used for high-level experimentation and containment. There, Bane becomes the ultimate shadow weapon, physically overwhelming and intellectually superior, shaped by his past and the Joker's manipulation. He's tasked with dealing with the Batman situation after Black Mask drops the ball and confronts Batman when Bruce breaks into Arc M, hoping to find Wayland. Um, Batman eventually gets processed as Test Subject 27. Even in captivity, Bruce shows his preparation by having hidden contraband and booby traps rigged throughout his suit. While he is missing
his
for over,
body.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, hidden contraband on his body and booby traps on his suit. He literally had to cut
It's
versions of his body to pull out knives and all kinds of
like
weird tools and shit that he had
in
in him.
his mouth, like in his fingernails. Like
Yeah,
he is a fucking sadist.
yeah.
Like this guy, they take this opportunity, like because they're experimenting on him, and because they are the people in Arc M are figuring him out. Now we're going to figure these things out about him physically because this is where we get the first the numbers and the actual details about him. Like these are like he's 6'9", he's 420 pounds. He has the weapons in his body. These are
Mm-hmm.
the things that we know about him, and then start to take away from him, and then break him down psychologically. Because now
Yeah,
we're gonna not just strip him of his suit or whatever. We're gonna strip him of him.
yeah,
They of everything we can, and now see how, because I guess the idea is they want to break him, and then see what's gonna happen when he has nothing. Is he gonna finally break? And then that's when we get that fucking incredible scene where he's been shaved, He's been stripped. He's butt naked, and they're hanging the suit there to see how he reacts. Actually, he tried to escape a couple more times. He had
Yeah,
it broken. He was a wild
yeah,
buck.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is, well, not the funny thing, the thing that I found that makes this chef's kiss is, first of all, as a comic reader, I immediately my mind goes to two different stories. It goes to Weapon X,
Yeah.
right, where a majority of that story is told by the scientists that are working on this test subject, and they're treating him like an animal because he's just a test subject, and kind of going through the motions with that. And also anatomy lesson from Swamp Thing, where you have somebody almost like almost enjoying the weird stuff they're finding out as they continue
Yep.
this experiment. And so putting us in the seat of the doctor, we are completely taken out of Bruce Wayne's mind, and thus all of his actions are surprises, which pop me. Like, I'm using the wrestling
Yeah.
term "pop" as far as getting excited or getting very happy. This entire issue at several points, I'm like, this is the most ridiculous and amazing thing I've ever seen. But let's get into it. While he's missing for over a month, his mother Martha begins a desperate search for him, but we'll put a pin in that. During his first escape attempt, Bruce witnesses the nightmare of the Hell Firm experiments. I looked that up. That's Dr. Death.
I was muted. Uh, Doctor Death is not the. No, I'm thinking of Doctor Hurt. Uh,
It's some doctor.
my
Isn't
bad.
Dr. Hurt his dad?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Damn
weird.
you, Grant Morrison. You know we love you,
we'll,
Grant. Get on the show.
we'll get there someday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, uh, I looked it up. Yeah, it's Doctor. It's that dude with the weird teeth. It's weird to do with the British teeth. Um, and so I don't know exactly what that's supposed to lead to, but he goes to the clay biome, which is has a bunch of like sentient clay people, a shifting mass of bodies. Before he can get
That's
far,
so fucked up.
yeah,
He's like walking on them, and they're like, "Help
yeah,
me!"
and then they start to
Oh
grab at
fuck!
him, and then
Yeah,
while they're grabbing on him and he can't get out, Bane just sucker punches him, knocks him out again,
sticks the shit out of him.
and knocks
Yeah.
him out. We get to day 45 of his imprisonment, and Bruce reaches a breaking point and stages a visceral escape. He uses brass knuckles fashioned from his own teeth and his own stomach acid because he stopped eating. He's using some of his stomach acid to neutralize the doctors. He creates a makeshift explosive compound from his own waste that he uses to blow the door off his cell. He manages to reach the ivy biome, but he is nearly killed by an army of plant-like hybrids before Bane finds him and punches him in the face, knocks him out, and beats on him
Yeah.
again. But yeah, the whole poop pee bomb thing is hilarious. You were talking about the contraband stuff, and like you were talking about him being a sadist. This is one of those instances of like you're only crazy until it happens, right?
Yeah.
Because whoever
Yeah.
put the fucking I don't know brass knuckles in his ass cheek, right? He's like, listen, this is important. You know what I'm saying? Like, one
Where did you
day,
learn this from?
yeah, they're like one day. This, and again, if it never happens, he's a crazy person. But the day that it happens, he's a
I
genius.
told
Thank,
you.
thank
I
God.
fucking told you all.
Pee and poop
Sticking these.
bomb. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. Pee pee poo poo bomb.
I think the thing about I think Bruce is so fucking cool that he also knows this shit is crazy and never
Yeah.
mentions it to anyone. I've got aura to think about.
Speaking of aura, something that I noticed from this story, and then even towards the end, is the like we talk about the Banes, we're gonna talk about the Joker, we talked about Black Mask and et cetera, so forth. But like Arkham, like that girl Arkham, Dr. Arkham,
Dr. Arkham.
he's just kind of there.
For
He's,
now.
yeah, something's up with that lady. They don't really get into it in Arkham, in the Arkham special, but like the way that she talks to Bane, the way that she talks throughout this she's a lot of the narration in this, as she's over the test subjects and stuff, and I'm just like, he he's not innocent. You know, like something's up there.
There's been speculation that she could be the Mad Hatter.
They teased the Mad Hatter on the Arkham cover, but then they never got around to it. Is Bruce
Yeah.
is Bruce naked beating up a bunch of the guards?
There's a great gag for the escapes where they like reuse the same panels when he runs and it's like plop, 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 day 42, plop, plop, plop. It's the same. It's like he's butt naked and you can just hear the feet slapping on the floor. And he's like pulled back. So it's like a comedic little figure, like a comedic little buff figure just running. It's a great gag.
Even
That's something you gotta
the
read.
narration about it
Yeah.
infantilizes him when they're like, "Oh yeah,
He broke up again.
he got this far. Yeah, he got this far
Yeah.
this time. He got past that and he got this far this time." But now we get to what you're talking about. Day 91. Bruce has undergone 2 weeks of forced surgery intended to biologically transform him into a prime like Bane. Um, they psychologically break him, hang his suit in the same cell that he's in. You
Like a
could just
test.
see surgery scars and all this kind of stuff, and he his first reaction is almost to yell at it, like those days are gone. I'm done with this. It's been 3 months. He's scarred up. You see the green veins rippling with venom. He's bald, and then like it looks like the suit is like looking at him sideways, and then he looks at the suit sideways, and the next panel is him like bursting through the wall.
It's
Like it's
it's
so cool.
it's so cool for it's just cool like on on a visual level like
Yeah,
it's cool, especially the next page where you bust through that wall like
yeah,
that. That's like whoever bought that original art, you lucky son of a bitch. You better hope I don't find you on a drunk night.
but that on a
They
truck.
they it's not just that. It's the idea that he has been broken. Like
Mm-hmm.
he has been broken. It's been 91 days of torture and he's tried everything. And when they hang that suit there when he first sees it, he's like, get away from me. And still inside of him, that mission calls him. It will call him no matter what. Like that suit looking at him like that is his own self calling to himself. It's not, there was never a separation. It's like, it's just him. It's so fucking, it's not even just absolute Batman. Like that's just such a Batman moment. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
so fucking great. God, I
Yeah,
love that.
it's almost his like bat coming through the window thing. Like it's his like commitment. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Yeah.
doing this. Like this is what I'm here to do. I'm doing this stuff. Um, so he manages to reclaim his suit and makes a brazen push for the through the Langstrom section where there's human animal hybrids and they're like, kill us. This sucks, please. And he's like, I don't know how. Um, and then the struggle leads to a final confrontation where Bane knocks Bruce through a glass wall into a containment area holding Waylon Jones. But Waylon ain't looking like how he used to. He's been transformed into a massive mutated crocodile. He recognizes Bruce and joins the fight. Waylon lashes out at Bane and kills several doctors before he and Bruce have a brief heart-to-heart and escape the facility together. Despite their
Oh my God. See, just because you
Bane
know,
crushing
like
people.
you know that that Waylon is gonna be Killer Croc. So that now they're in Arkham. And he finds him, and you're thinking like, oh no, like this is it. Like he's gonna turn on him. He's gonna be like mad or whatever. And they fucking turn that page, and he's riding. He's
Yeah,
riding Waylon.
yeah,
That is the coolest shit.
yeah.
This issue is so awesome.
Yeah, they could have folded it right back into everyone shitting on, and it's gonna get to a point where they all have a reason to, and
Yeah.
they still choose to be by his side and arm him for what he needs for this war against Bane. This Abomination arc is amazing. I think it's really,
Yeah.
really, really, really well done. Um, here, despite their flight, Bane reveals to Dr. Arkham that the escape was part of the plan to begin their final stage of breaking Batman. We learn that Bane is actually getting Bruce ready to be his replacement so he can return to Santa Prisca to his family and finally end his tenure as Joker's attack dog. Um, Wayland demands Bruce end his suffering, but Bruce refuses to kill his friend, so Wayland leaves and Bruce passes out and is found by Alfred on the floor of his apartment where he rests for 3 weeks. He visits his worried mother, who tells him what happened to his friends. To ensure Bruce is broken mentally and emotionally, it turns out Bane set his sight on Bruce's friends and does some horrific things to them. The final panel of that issue, where Bane opens the door and the three friends are just there, terrified, just makes your heart sink. You know, it's one of those eventualities that was always there, always available, always going to happen, but doesn't make it easier to see or see the results of. Were you fearing for
Yeah,
the
it
friends of
was
Wayne here?
like you said, you knew that something was coming. And then, like we mentioned, getting them involved earlier like that, so recklessly, the way he did, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. It came back so fast. It
Yes, it did.
came back around so
It
fast.
came back
In
faster than it usually does. I will say that.
the like it's so, and they always say, like, you got to keep everybody separate because if you get them involved, they can get hurt. It's like, yeah, it's exactly what happened. He got them involved and recklessly didn't think twice, used them as a tool, and he destroyed their lives. Like worse than his.
Not only that, but like now I can see Bruce being the one to tell the young Harley that, or his next Robin that, and now he has actual experience. It's not just something like I think what's gonna happen is. It's like no, you don't understand. All of my
And
friends. Um.
also, you met, I guess we haven't really met her. We're talking about Harley.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, um, Bane understood that Bruce's connection to his inner circle was his greatest vulnerability, like you were talking about with Alfred figuring that out. So he targeted them to prove that Bruce's hope for Gotham was a lie. Uh, with Oswald, Bane carried out a physical assault so brutal that it permanently changed his anatomy. He systematically shattered every major bone in Oswald's body with surgical precision. The damage was so extensive that once the healing process began, Oswald was left nearly 2 feet shorter than before, and he was left in a hospital bed as a broken shell of his former self, forced into a physical transformation he never asked for. Odds are he'll end up with a waddle of some sort, effectively becoming the version of the Penguin. But man, if, like, fate worse than death. Every bone in your body 2 feet shorter. Like god damn.
I can't even, like, he's just like a blob. Like he's just like a I
Uh,
don't even know what he's gonna
uh,
look like. It's disgusting.
he's a beanbag chair full of bones.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, it's really dark. The attack on Harvey was meant to be symbolic. Bane seized Harvey and crushed his skull between his hands until it perfectly fractured down the middle. To finish the assault, Bane threw Harvey into a puddle of gasoline and pinned him down with a heavy boot while holding a flaming poker chip to the left side of his face. The resulting fourth-degree burns left Harvey permanently scarred and psychologically shattered by the trauma. For Edward, Bane focused on destroying his greatest asset, his mind. After beating the genius, Bane delivered a precise blow that targeted the frontal lobe of his brain. The injury fundamentally changed the way Edward processed information, warping his brilliance into a compulsive and fractured state. He was eventually discovered hooked into a massive computer array with his brain fully exposed, a victim of the neurological damage Bane had intentionally inflicted. Rough stuff. And but what I like about this is because, like you said, now that look at those boys there. Now that those boys have been taken down such a gruesome fashion, Bruce begins to doubt his mission like immediately. Like, nah, fuck this. We're we're calling it in. I'm calling off work today. They even have a really brief moment with the Red Hood gang where he calls, I want to say Harley, and it's like, yeah, it's off. He's like, you don't tell me what to do. And then Alfred's like, who's that? He's like, don't worry about it. He's like, don't worry about it.
it, I think about the comment Scott Snyder made where he talked about how his original plan has kind of stretched out now to like 60 issues or whatever, or I'm sure that's not a concrete number.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it, I think that what's gonna happen, I don't know, that's my theory, is that each of these rogues friends are gonna get an arc where we kind of they are the antagonists. Like they are full on like he's gonna have to battle Two Face for 5 issues. Fucking Penguin for 5 issues. Fucking Enigma for 5 issues. Possibly Croc for 5 issues for whatever emotional reason. But I think ultimately we are gonna get that reunion at the end. That's gonna feel so oh so good. But stretching it out like that and giving us time to play with them as who we know them as, but whatever fucked up, twisted, emotionally disturbing, gonna leave us crying version of this he's gonna do. I'm
Yeah,
like not ready for it because it's like right now they're still hurt and they can't retaliate yet,
no,
but I feel like they are going to at some point.
they're still the homies. So you wonder what if not this, right? Like, what would sour them? I think it's an
Right.
interesting discussion of what will be their kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back for a bad pun there, because I feel like Oswald definitely had his back broken. Um, but yeah, I like that Bruce's first reaction is panic. I like that Bruce's first reaction is okay. If now the fight's coming to me, we're shutting this whole shit down. But Alfred reins him in. The alarm goes off, and they're both like, "Oh fuck, Bane's here." I did find that funny. The alarm goes off, and they're like, "Oh no, fuck, Bane's here. Get the machine gun. Get ready." Um, but it's Selena in full absolute Catwoman gear. He basically uses her. Is it a whip and a bullet thing?
It looks like a whip, but it's a gun and it's got like a giant whip
Magazine thing?
magazine. And I think like when she's not using it as whip, like she clicks it to the bottom of the gun and it like shoots. It's like some
Okay, okay, okay.
wild shit that she's got going on. And like you said, she's wearing a black mask helmet, but
Yeah,
she's got like a traditional Catwoman
ears
suit.
and
I hope
yes, you got to put ears on the thing. Um,
I hope nothing happens to her.
fingers crossed. Apparently,
God.
Catwoman is known worldwide for her antics that we don't get into, and we also don't speak about her tech. She's asked about her helmet, like I said, and she's like, let's not talk about that. But her and Bruce make love. What do you think about that? Right there in the
I
comments.
described it.
Just
I
taking
was
some
glad that
time
we
to.
got right I was glad that we got right into it. But like I mentioned earlier, I think we're gonna be doing like an inverse of the Catwoman Bruce relationship, where instead of starting adversarial, we're gonna end up adversarial. So it's like it's cool that we got right into like okay, they love each other, and there was some real tender moments they showed because we get like a bunch of flashbacks
Yeah,
of what they used to do together. They used to rob like Bruce grew up. He was a bad motherfucker, man. Him and
yeah.
Selena used to rob banks and shit, and they would just
But
go out and have fun and have sex and rob banks and have sex
yeah,
and ride trains
and
and have sex.
fix boxing matches and have more sex.
More sex on the money this time, Bruce.
Then sometimes they're having sex and the boxer guy comes in the apartment and they're like,
That
yo,
was
chill
great.
out, we're having sex.
That's I was like, man, I would love to read about that. Um, 6 issues of Absolute Batman Year One. Let's go.
That's absolute fingers.
But Absolute Fingers, as you much more than fingers.
Telling you.
Uh, the but yeah, I love Selena always. I love the way she looks. I love her design.
I was say, yeah,
She's
This Afro Latina Selena's killing it.
oh man, is that what she is? Do we know for sure?
I
Did they
want to say
mention
they said Brazilian or something.
Brazilian? She looks like I love this Selena. I love all the absolute women.
But
It's like
also, like you said, there's some very sombering and heartfelt moments of them at a young age. She brings Bruce to go see Zorro when Bruce can't sleep because of the death of his father, and brings all the friends there
yeah,
too to sit there and chill with
yeah.
them and all that kind of stuff. She was roped in. I want to
Another
say up to a
another
point, right? Because they say she doesn't come to the
I
poker games anymore.
I forgot to bring that up because or no, I'm glad that you brought it up. The idea that he was alone and when like she went and got him and she went and got the friends. I was like, oh, they're definitely coming back to that at the end. Like that is 100% foreshadowing. Like that is
I
just
didn't even
that
realize it
was
until you said it
so
now. But yeah, that's exactly what ends up happening. Again, he tries
right.
to isolate
That's
himself. He shows up. Hey, I heard you're having some issues. By the way, let's connect with the homies. Let's get this shit done.
right. That's
Yeah,
I was like, God, this is so good.
yeah,
I love this book. Like
yeah. What do you think of their date night, which eventually was going to go see the Red Hood gang?
that's awesome. I was first of all,
Because you
yeah,
want to
I
go on a
love that
date?
little and it's just them being fucking Batman and Catwoman, and then you hit that another Dark Knight Returns reference. I was
Yeah,
like,
the jump,
ah,
the double
the
jump.
fucking Batman and Carrie Kelly thing. I was like, oh shit! Like I don't know why. I was like, is this like a thematic thing? Like, did they just want to be funny? But no, we do the Carrie Kelly jump, and then we go see the Red Hood gang, who has Harley Quinn, which if Harley Quinn, I feel like is gonna become his Carrie Kelly esque Robin, like a little
Yeah,
street urchin that becomes a fucking Robin. And probably she's already got the fucking domino mask going. Like I
yeah,
was like, she's fucking Robin.
yeah.
She's a Red Hood. Like that's it's
I
all
wonder if they
there. It's
feel
all
any
there.
incentive to have her tied to Joker in any way.
I imagine you kind of have to at least
Hope she doesn't get
tease it.
seduced by money.
There's things like that, but I feel like she's at least got to get challenged by
100%.
that seduction or something to do with the Joker. She's got to have some type of cross connection to the Joker, but I'm really attached to the idea of her as this Carrie Kelly esque Robin
Yeah,
for absolute Batman down the line. And not that they're gonna have fucking adventures together, because the thing about these books is like it's so funny. Like we talk about these things and we talk about like, oh wow, they introduced absolute freeze and poison ivy and all that shit. But in the context of the story, it's like it happened and we moved on. You're like they
yeah. They're
exist.
not
It's not
doing
like
Monster of the Week. They're not. He's not
yeah,
saving cats from trees. I mean, he's doing other small stuff, but we're not focusing on that in those issues. In the annual, touched most on what he's doing,
right.
behind the scenes and stuff. But all of this is pay per view stuff. They know house show
Yeah.
stuff in these books.
So I think the Harley Quinn thing, with her becoming Robin or whatever, that would just be another thing that's like, oh, it's like a few arc or whatever where we got to see him and her work together, and she was straight up like Robin or whatever. And I'm
Yeah,
sure it'll come back around later. She'll recur for the final battle or whatever the fucking case is. But it's gonna be really cool, I think, because that's at least where I feel like we're going with it.
and then that's when Sydney, who you letting in the crib?
Yeah.
Who's the little boy with the shaved head you just let into the house? I told you not. No, you ain't adopting no kids, bro. Um, Harley. They talked to Harley Quinn, the leader of the Red Hoods, to talk about a plan to take on Bane. Catwoman warns against turning into a monster to fight one, but Bruce is laser focused and delivers a message to Gotham. You ready?
uh,
People of Gotham, our city is under attack, not by criminals or outlaws, but by its own leaders. Leaders who have sold Gotham out to line their own pockets. They've sold our safety, our freedom. There's nothing they won't sell. They've even sold the ground beneath our feet, where right now they're growing actual monsters, horrors too terrible to imagine. I tried to show you with Black Mask, but I made the mistake of relying on the network. Not anymore. This time I'll show you myself. Because I'm going to drag one of these monsters out into the light for all of you to see. And then I'm going to beat his ass. I'm talking about you, Bane, you little bitch. I know you're listening. Tomorrow, midnight, the old Veterans Arena, you and me alone. You win, I go back to Arc M and become whatever you want. But you won't win. And you, the people of Gotham, get to watch. And just in case any of you are wondering who I am, I'm Batman.
it's like an all time.
Yeah,
That's like an all-time fucking Batman moment, like
yes,
forever. You know, like
100%. And also
this,
like the sprinkle of him calling him a little bitch is amazing.
you little bitch. It was so perfect. Like it was so right. That's another thing about this book. Like it fulfills when it's time to fulfill. Like it doesn't hold back. Like there's something, I don't know, maybe some people will call it immature, but it's like this is what comics is. Like you little bitch. This is I
Yeah.
want to fight. What the fuck is that? You know, like
Well,
there's a lot of other shit going on, but also I'm here to fight.
oh,
You got a wrestling
maybe
promo.
it's yeah, that's 100% what it is. But also like maybe it's a nod to the idea that like I think people would see that and they might rub up against it the wrong way and be like, well, Bruce would never. But this is not a Bruce that grew up in refinement. I called my friends bitches all the time in the hood. So uh
I disagree with that though, because he but on his first fucking night, I got the thing all over my
yeah,
face and it's reversed.
you're fine.
On his first fucking night as Bruce, as Batman, the regular Batman, he goes and he busts up in the kitchen where the mobsters and the mayor are eating, and he's like, he cuts a promo on them
Oh yes, yes,
standing on
yes.
the table, you know,
Hmm.
like you've eaten
I was waiting for that
Gotham's
memo.
food,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah, you've eaten well and all that. Yeah.
yeah, there you go, yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, he's known for like he's a drama queen. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Um. So the battle at Veterans Arena ends up being the climax of this big arc. Abomination arc. The Joker and Bane want to kill the working class Batman in front of the world and crush Gotham's hope. As the fight begins, the Red Hood gang secures the arena. In this universe, they're not villains. Like I said, they're civilian resistance inspired by Bruce and working alongside him. They hold back the GCPD and the rest of like Sionis's remnants, like whoever's still out there, keeping the focus on Batman and Arkham's enforcer Bane. When Bruce is almost spent, his allies end up stepping in. Selina disables the arena's surveillance, blinding Arkham scientists and stopping the Joker's team from intervening. Wailing Jones, now a massive crocodile, a hybrid after Arkham's biomes, bursts through the arena floor and takes on the Joker's paramilitary guards alongside Bruce. I gotta show this image of them in the stadium together when the lights start to come on. Like
There's
what a what a moment there. Doom doom doom. Low.
this whole thing was just awesome. Like this whole like Coliseum esque, like it was like a fucking, I swear it was like a wrestling moment. It's like
Yeah.
straight up anime. That's what it was. It
Yes.
was anime. It was wrestling. It was like all these like just all my favorite mediums
Yeah.
put together and to give you like this incredible final battle. Bef- you got this shot right here, which is it's perfect. There's so much more like this in this
Oh,
in
this
this issue
amazing.
in
Yeah.
particular.
Mm-hmm.
They had to ask for 5 more pages.
They can put
Where
more shit.
CC was like, so he can put more shit, yeah, for the fight. Uh, and so that, but I think like right before this, or maybe right after, no, Catwoman's there already. So did you? So I think we might have already seen that shot of her. It's just like a beautiful shot of her aiming the gun. You're
Well,
like,
he says no. Well, that's at is that when she
is
with
it
the
not?
with the with the thing? Because
Okay, that's
eventually,
after. That's after. That's after. Because yeah, you're right. Because
yeah, because
I'm going to talk about what that reminds me of.
the whole issue itself hinges on one question: will Batman attempt to out Venom Bane? He already has Venom in his system, and apparently he has like one other amount of Venom that he can inject into himself left to, go above and beyond. So throughout the entire issue, there are constant. Alfred is constantly like, use the Venom, get on the Venom. Why aren't you using the Venom? You need to use the Venom, and it's intercut with Selina begging him not to. In the past, saying, "Don't do this, you'll become a monster." What's interesting, and I don't know if it was meant to be that way. I don't know if it all came together that way. Um, Bruce seemed pretty like what's that called? Like a laser focus, but almost blinded by his rage towards Bane in
Yeah.
all of this, right? And uh I was of the belief that he was gonna do the Venom thing. And when we'll get to what he does eventually, which is a much calmer and cooler headed decision. I wonder at all if it was meant to tie back to the annual, which would have came out after this. But the idea that he did once become a monster to fight monsters, and he's learned that lesson already. I wonder if any of that is supposed to be like, sort of sing song
I
of this.
I definitely see some of that because yeah, while the annual might seem, because it's an annual and because it's a little independent of the complete story arc, it might seem like it's like out of, like maybe that wasn't something Scott Snyder intended for or whatever. Like, but I believe that, especially based on like the absolute Batman's first appearance, his cameo appearance in the DC All In special, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like he's fighting the fucking Nazis, the same Nazis from this
The annual.
from the annual. So yeah, I think the idea that he fought monsters to become monsters was something that was given to Daniel Warren Johnson, and maybe we'll be able to ask him ourselves.
Yes, yes, yes.
But that's at least for now. I think that was like something that they gave him, like a concept that he was able to take and expand upon. So I definitely think that they're tied into like that circular.
I also should mention that while this fight is happening, every time Bane seems to take a extraordinary amount of damage, he just ups the venom. So like at one point, Waylon shows up and just bites him into his chest, like just literally and he also has an abnormally large mouth. He bites him in his chest, and Bruce basically says like the holes start to close. He takes so much venom that parts of body parts just start to appear, a mouth, an eye onto his body and stuff. And every time, like at one point, they blind him, but his eye grows back. Just really
he's
horrific body horror stuff.
he's got to be like 20 feet tall. He's got to be because Batman is fucking 6'9". Waylon has got to be goddamn 8 feet tall. He's long for him anyway. So like Bane is twice the size of both of them, and they show Bruce like a
Yeah,
baby thing next to
running
his
around.
foot.
My favorite
It's,
panel is when Bane's suit's like all ripped off because he's already ripped. He like is like swinging Batman. Like Batman's like
yes,
this big.
he's
He's
got a
just like
tiny
making.
little baby star. He's like his hands are just out.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. He's just gonna fling him into the fucking sun, and I'm just sitting there like, yo, Bruce, you've bitten off way more than you can chew. But again,
is
even with
he's a
Bane, he's like,
kaiju, full on. Like he's a full on monster kaiju. It's
mm-hmm.
fucking wild.
And also, and I get that he has speed and strength, but the other Bane felt like to me like the putties that Zed ended up having in Power Rangers. You had original recipe putties, and then Zed showed up with putties that if you could punch them right in the chest, they die. And I was like, why is that an improvement on the design? And similarly with Bane, everything I knew about Bane initially was from Batman the Animated Series, which was cut the cord. Cut the cord.
Yeah.
Get the cord, cut the cord. This Bane is too damn big to cut the damn cord. And every time they cut something, it just grows back because of this weird concoction that he's infusing into himself. But I love that they kind of answer that. You eventually do get to a level of cutting the cord. I mean, he even tries to cut his spinal cord, and that doesn't
Yeah,
work.
he takes his axe and just rips that shit across Bane's whole back. Like,
Yep,
it's so nasty.
yep. And Bane is
And
shown
yeah, it
face
just
down with his back exposed, like opened up like a taco. And
yeah,
then he takes more Arc M, and muscles just start to bubble up out of the wound. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, this entire time he's just taunting uh Bruce, take the venom. You know you gotta take the venom. Yeah, I know you're infused with venom, take the venom, we'll shoot this. But it turns out Bruce removed every trace of venom Arc M ever put in him and turned it into a weapon. When Bane moves in, Bruce calls for the shot from Selina, and that's when you get the shot. She's like, I got you, baby. I'm like,
oh,
girl.
oh, I was like, ah!
Yeah,
Such a big pop for me, and it gave me so much vibes of Oliver Queen in The Dark Knight Returns
yeah,
coming
yeah.
clutch with the kryptonite
The last
arrow.
shot right before I die, please. For the love of
Oh,
God, don't miss.
yes,
For the love of
don't
God.
miss. I
For the love of God, don't miss.
was
Um,
like, God, I love that so much.
and then we get this body horror here.
Woo.
My God, that's me at the local buffet. But yeah,
Starving.
this overload, this overloads Bane's muscles. It shuts down his nervous system. He basically becomes like this big blob of mass of just a puddle of skin and muscle fibers and stuff like that. But
Kaboom.
even right here on this page, it says, "I can't help but laugh." Then laugh like I haven't in years because this kid, bloody hell. And so Alfred is still looking on with like awe, like a dad who's proud of his kid, dance recital or something like that. Like, look at him, he's really out there
Just
doing
like
it.
this fucking kid, man.
But he
Like
also thought that
he's just doing it.
he thought he would take the venom. Alfred was in full belief that Bruce would.
That he had to. Not even that he would, but that he had to take the venom. He
Yeah,
is like, he can't do this without the venom. And it's so cool because it really does speak to the way old people or the previous generation thinks about the next one. Like, you can't do it that way. You cannot do it that way. You have to do it my way. Please do it my way. It's not going to work. And you're like, fuck, man, I got to do it my way. And he
yeah,
does it his way and it absolutely works. And it's like, you just got to laugh. Like, I'm so in awe and so proud. As a father, I know exactly what he's talking about.
yeah.
So I appreciate that. I love that's why I love that this book is like written from the POV of Alfred because I'm an old guy now too. It's
Hmm.
harder to be Batman when I got kids, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
harder for Scott Snyder to place himself as Batman when he's got kids. So it's like I love that. God, I love that. Those little fucking dialogue boxes from Alfred add so much to the story of Absolute Batman, and it's almost in the same way that Bruce's inner dialogue works. But
but I
yeah,
feel
it's
like it's
awesome.
funny that you say that. I feel like the inner dialogue wouldn't have done much in this fight. I feel like the inner
No,
dialogue would have shown us, besides letting the cat, like getting the cat out of the bag about the venom. It would have just shown us what we can see in the art, that he's scared, that he's rushing, that
yeah,
nothing's working.
yeah.
All that stuff is what we got in his head. So being a spectator for it, I thought was way better. Um, uh, Bane is left in a puddle of mass, and if I am I getting this right? Batman loads that into his vehicle and like dumps it on the beach or something, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure because I try to like really like trace what happened there, and I'm like, no, he puts him
Shovel his ass up.
in the yeah, he puts him in
Again,
the
we're
puddle, and
throwing him in the river.
then he puts him in dumps him on the shore. Bane's brains and eyes survive of all things, um, and the whole thing. The tragic part of this is um before he even goes to this fight, he's talking to the Arkham, and he's like, "Oh man, like as soon as Bruce is ready, he could take over, and I can leave. I can go home." And he's like, "You think Joker's gonna let you go home?" He's like, "He has to. Like, I already did his job, and he has his new experiment or whatever." And so you fast forward to Bane just being brain and eyeballs kept alive, and they fucking what do they do? Put a laptop in front of him or something? Joker via
Yeah.
Zoom. It's like, I got your 2 weeks notice. We're hiring you for 20 years. Like, you're not going anywhere. Um, he makes he makes retirement seem silly
So
to
it's
Bane, and
it's
then he bombs the island that Bane's family is on, effectively killing
yeah.
any need for him to ever retire because that's where he was going home to. That was his end game. That was his end goal. And so Joker just took it off the table.
I I don't think I realized or maybe I forgot when they talked about him having a family.
Yeah.
But
But at one point, I think the very first instance that it's mentioned, it's Alfred talking about what would happen if Bane killed Bruce, and then they were able to rebuild him into Gotham's Bane. And he says
yeah.
once that happens, he's going back to his island to hang out with his family, and they show Bane and his family at the grave of his father,
Yeah.
almost making it all worth it. Like, it's all come back around. Santa Prisca's kept safe. No one's been messing with it. I got to retire. It's all that. Nope, they pull that rug out completely out from underneath him and underneath us, and have removed any need for him to ever go become human or ever go back home by killing his entire family.
Not only that, but in one single panel, flipping the whole dynamic between Bane and Batman. After that incredible fight,
Hmm.
all of a sudden you open up a future where they are probably gonna team up,
Yeah.
which is like, wow, like when he teams up with the kaiju, like it's gonna be like when you unlock the boss character and he's like not the same.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
this guy doesn't fight. He's not even 20
He's
feet
just,
tall no
I'm
more.
gonna say he's just eyes and a brain. That's all, that's all I got.
I'm trying.
Oh my God. Oh, what if they just take that brain and make him brain? And he
Yeah.
has a
Oh,
gay
it can
relationship
be
with a
like
gorilla.
no, I get it. Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
That's what I'm saying. They take his brain, put it in a machine.
Hector con carne.
Oh, Monsieur Mala.
I love you, my sweet.
Oh dear. That was Arc M. Arc M is absolutely ridiculous and fantastic and amazing and all that and
Abomination.
more. Abomination. What did I say? Arc M. Abomination.
Arkham.
Abomination. Uh, this is what the Abomination arc is when I started hearing normies talk a lot about this, a lot about picking it up, a lot about when panels start to get shown, especially all the Bane stuff. But you really, really got to believe that that's when things started to catch fire, and just as all the gasoline is poured onto the ground for the first time, they light the match and say, "Guess what? Next issue, we're doing Joke." And
Man,
but
when those covers dropped, people got to see the design of Absolute Joker, like the monster version.
yeah,
It was like a 1-2 punch because we were just it was all the conversation about, oh, Bane is an eldritch horror, Bane is horrifying, Bane is this, Bane is that, and then like this is what the Joker looks like.
the only thing I have to say is I think the reveal took the bite out of the issue a little bit. I knew he was gonna end up looking
Yeah,
like. I mean, it's not only that
they
reveal, right? It's the 15 variant covers of, of
every different way you could possibly see
look
him.
him or yeah.
No, but I think for me the reveal, obviously because they saved the transformation for the last page and he eats a person. But the reveal was less what that was about for me as much as finding out anything about him. Like,
Yeah.
because we knew nothing. Like we only saw him, and up until this point, we actually had seen him in a book that we're not going to cover, which is the Absolute Evil one shot.
Don't don't hedge your bets. I
Where
have a little bit of that in here.
oh okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
in
yeah.
here then.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because we do get at least just it's like another taste of him, but we hadn't gotten anything of Joker yet. We
No.
just knew that he was quiet, and it's crazy because that was like the first issue where he spoke. That was the first issue where we heard anything
Yes,
like
yes.
full motivation wise. It was
Hmm.
in like the one shot. So I guess
Yeah.
we are going to talk about that.
The big thing was, I mean, it's very brief. It's just literally what his inclusion is in that. The big thing was that Alfred kept mentioning that he knew him. It was a target that Alfred had been following. He's even on that in the first issue.
The reason he's in the city,
No, the reason he's in the city is because of the party animals.
but
But
but but he
he
knew
wasn't
that.
going to be there. He was originally looking for the Joker when they call him to the city. So he's bitching on to his handlers. I was just so
Oh yeah
close
yeah yeah yeah.
to
Okay
getting
okay yeah
Homeboy,
yeah
who I've
yeah
been
yeah.
following for X amount of years. And then he ends up finding out that he has ties to Arc M and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, we get introduced to the absolute Joker. Get him there with his shades. And we find out that his name is Jack Grimm. He is a billionaire head of JK Holdings and the mastermind behind the system Batman is trying to dismantle. Unlike traditional Joker, Grimm is a man of extreme order. He views the world as a series of biological and economic equations, never laughs in public, and maintains the image of a high society titan while running a global empire.
Look at
Uh,
him.
yeah, chilling.
Look at it. Like
He looks
look
like
at him though. Like
every Mark Cuban or fucking
that's motherfucking that's motherfucking DCU Bruce Wayne
yeah,
straight up.
yeah, his
Straight up,
polo and
like even
everything.
drawn, like structural wise, like his face, his hair. It's crazy how they did that, and I didn't notice it until you put the image up on the screen.
Did we
I,
ever get the
I
name? Did
know
we ever get the name of his butler?
No. Like I obviously by the time we get to that, I knew that that's what they were doing. I just didn't
No,
realize
no,
it was
I'm
so.
just curious in
Yeah.
general. Like, is Butler named Bruce or something? You know, something like the
No,
name.
not yet. Like his Alfred too.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's Alfred. I wonder if it's named something.
What would it be? What would be his like Joker lore equivalent? Like, if there's someone they can have,
Jack.
like
It would
they
have to
a
be
name they
Jack,
can
right? What's
use
his name?
for the
No,
butler?
what was the name of the dude that he had in Batman the movie? The Bob. There you go.
Could
Bob.
be Bob. Or I was thinking of that guy from that book Joker, the Brian Azzarello book.
Oh,
The
Frost.
something like that. Yeah,
His name
yeah, the dude
Frost.
that
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. That
I thought it was
something like
kind of
that.
close to chill. So,
Yeah, that's the butler. No, it's
similar. Well, that's another thing. I'll say that too. When I reread this for this, I was looking very carefully at um who shot Thomas because I didn't remember that Bruce goes to see him in prison.
yeah. He gets to tell him something that I'm still not sure we know yet.
No,
Like
it
I don't,
Alfred
and I
says he
think that
couldn't
we will
hear
find
him,
out.
but he could imagine or something like that.
It also should be mentioned before we move on. At some point in these past issues, we had been introduced to a faceless paramedic with the name tag
Twice.
Grayson D or
Yes.
Grayson R.
Yes.
Twice. He fucking hates Batman.
Yes. The
And I'm
very
like,
first time you
okay,
see
can't wait for
him,
that.
the very first time you see him, Alfred is talking about what happened after Wayland disappeared, and that Batman is just beating the living hell out of prisoners or criminals so bad to the fact that the hospitals are full. And hospitals are full, ambulances are full, which means that there's even a hardworking EMT using a rickshaw, like those things you have to pedal to get criminal patients to the hospital. And that's the first time you see, R. Grayson say, fuck Batman or whatever. and then later on he says it again. Very Titans there. So we'll see
I
what
can't
happens with
wait.
that.
I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah, I think they spoiled that he's supposed to be involved in some stuff moving forward.
Yeah.
But we get the story of Jack Grimm, which begins in the late 1800s when Amadeus Arkham took in a orphan named Jack. Instead of being healed, Jack manipulated the asylum's inmates into a massacre. He faked his death with a body in the furnace and waited for Amadeus to burn the building down. Later, he purchased the scorched land and built Ark M, turning into a place of healing, turning the place of healing into a private laboratory for biological weapons and high-tech venom. For over a century, Gotham believed that the Grimms were a long-standing lineage, with generations of Joseph Grimms building power behind the scenes. Alfred eventually uncovers the truth. There's only ever been one Jack Grimm. The entire family history was fabricated to conceal his unnatural longevity and horrific experiments. Jack maintains his youth through brutal treatments using the blood of children and hunts rivals on a private island for sport. When he sheds his human face, he transforms into a bit of a nightmare fuel. he trans he transforms into a monster. And he's a bit of a cannibal. He's everything wrong with the world there. He transforms into a towering demonic creature with jagged teeth and claws. In this world, the Joker only
He's,
laughs when his victim is already dead. Uh,
he's
the
dead serious, right? We actually, this is like the first time we've seen him laugh in 15 issues, and it's after you had a meal or something.
yes, and then he finally laughs because the whole joke is like they even tell people not to do jokes around him because he might be he might not dig it too much. Um, but yeah, the entire thought process behind this version of the Joker is like you said, he is more like Bruce Wayne. He is everything that Bruce Wayne in the absolute universe isn't. He's affluent. He has power and influence. He has tech at his disposal. He has connections, and he uses every bit of that to maintain power, to keep power. I mean, we talk all the time about eat the rich, and this guy's literally eating the poor. He's taking people, putting them on an island, and eating them. And it, like I said again, is absolutely horrific. It's the idea that some of the most kept together people, most visually kept together people, the people that you think are refined because of their money, can be actual cannibalistic monsters. People who feed on society, on humanity, to continue to stay in power, to continue to have the money that they have the influence that they have, and that those are the real monsters in society. Those are the real people you should be looking out for. What do you think about this inversion of Joker? I mean, we've seen. I mean, I know you didn't really dig White Knight, but we've seen a bunch of different interpretations of the character. The Joker films. People are constantly trying to reinvent this guy. What do you think about this reinvention for this particular story here?
Didn't you see how, like, look at how you can inverse the Joker concept and turn it into something interesting without doing some corny Twitter conversation, Tumblr conversation
Edge Lord,
bullshit.
Orama.
And what if the Joker was normal and
Yeah.
Batman was the crazy one? I fucking hate that book. I'm sorry.
So funny.
I'm sure, and I know a lot of people love it too. I'm sorry. Fuck that book. But it was it was really good. It was really cool. I was really enamored with the design actually. Like the idea of Joker and these billionaires being baby eating fucking cannibalistic monsters. The variant covers that we talked about
Yeah.
earlier, and I was like, God, there's so many of them. I definitely bought 3. There was like I couldn't help myself. I was like, God, they're all so good. They had like the main cover. They had the fucking Jock was doing the art. Actually,
Yeah.
they brought back Joke, like basically like a Joker legend, right? If you think about it, like the Black Mirror art
He made him
is
look
like
the most horrific. Yeah. Jock did.
right. So they had him come in and do the art for this, which I'm sure Nick Drew got, because Nick Drew got it this like the regular, the regular. I'm sure he designed the Joker and came up with the concept. But then you're like, Jock, do a Jock thing.
Yeah.
He fucking, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? That's fucking horrifying.
It is.
What is that?
And that's the thing. Like
The
you would hear Alfred offhandedly say, "I think he grows his like rows and rows of teeth. I think he's fucking with babies." Like you would just start seeing little parts of like this lore kind of get sprinkled in throughout all these issues, and then this is the kind of the big lore dump. You remember when somebody did a variant, and they're like, "Oh no, his mouth is actually supposed to go all the way up to his eyes or whatever."
Yeah, the red all the way up here, those are teeth too.
Yeah.
Hey,
you have to tell somebody who did art, like, by the way, there's a part of this character you don't know. Like that's actually teeth that goes all the way up there.
Talking about the damn variants, and Jock, they had what I thought was like a crazy unique concept. Like, actually, not like unique, but it doesn't always happen, and I don't think people appreciate it when it does. Like when two like legendary artists work on like one piece, like when Jim Lee and Alex Ross, or Bruce Timm and Alex Ross do a thing, like it's like we collaborated like that. It's like they had fucking Jock and Brian Bolin, who drew the Killing Joke. So like two legendary Joker artists come together to do the absolute Joker. This is like that's incredible. Like that's awesome to me because they're not gonna be able to do the book. So like, look at that shit. That's fucking like I'm not sure who did what. Like I don't know if Jock did the colors and Bolin did the art or
It's
whatever
horrifying.
the fuck.
Horrifying.
It's goddamn horrifying, but it's perfect that it's them. Like it's like we got the legend, the OGs came in to fucking to draw the joke. I love that kind of legacy shit. I love that kind of callback. Like that's you really gotta appreciate comics to be like Brian Bolin and Jock. What the fuck? Like on a brand new Joker thing. Like, damn. So
everything that they've ever touched Joker became iconic. Like those that imagery. Mm-hmm.
So like this isn't theirs. You just call them in and like say hi or whatever. Like that's the kind of thing that will get me to buy more than one. Not like, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. But like damn, y'all are really like going all the way out with this shit. Like this is fully this fully captured me. Like I'm completely taken in. I'm
Yeah.
all the way in for this ride. I even thought when the Bane thing was done that they might not be able to capture that again. But
Right.
the Joker
That's fair.
issue was like, I was like, oh shit, like we are still rolling. Like this is awesome.
I think it also works because the Joker in current day, depending on who's writing him, sometimes we're constantly trying to up the ante. I feel like this Joker stood silent until they made one big move and then went back to silent. And I think he's creepier in that way. We showed his potential at the height, but it's a simmering pot for the majority of this run. And
Yeah.
the craziest thing is, um, 15 issues in, introduced in issue 1, they still haven't met. They still not come face to face.
I think this issue is or not is it this issue or is it the next issue where
We don't have an next issue yet.
oh no, cuz so it is this issue where the Joker first sees not first sees. I'm sure he's already aware of Batman that he's talked in the arc in the Absolute Evil special about how he knows. But like this is the first time we've seen them in the same place.
Yeah.
Stare like he's just looking at him. Like that's
Oh,
his next.
I don't have the image, but that image of him walking down the staircase and almost making a half smile
Yeah.
when he leaves. You could tell
Yeah.
his butler with the clock, with the grandfather clock and everything.
He turns that damn clock to was it 10:47 or
47?
10:37? 10:47?
I think it's
I
47.
forget. It's the Batman number. It's Bruce's number.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
10:47 and 10:37. The time fucking parents died. But I wonder why that number would be important to the Joker. Like, why would he
Same.
know that number? Because I mean, other than just maybe it's like it's supposed to be like now we're making it obvious. Like this is the inverse. This is what the Bruce Wayne concept would be in a world where I guess today where he's a billionaire in power, he would actually be this. So they're like really knocking that shit on the head. But I feel like showing the Joker put the same exact time on the grandfather clock, it's either gonna be cheap pop or it's gotta be something really, really, really fucking interesting. There's no in between
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. And I guess they had time to kind of flesh that stuff out. With this, I I like that they kind of brought up the whole like, weird Joker doesn't know his origin kind of thing, and then they were just kind of like squashed it. They were like, no, there has been no Grims. We're going straight to what we think the actual facts are. But I think the reason why the Joker stuff really works, same reason why the Bane stuff really works, is that Scott Snyder's really good at horror. Like I said, when I first read him, it would have been Black Mirror, Dick Grayson stuff, and the way he wrote Jim Gordon Jr. in that, one of the most chilling portrayals
Yep.
of a regular non-powered human being in anything I've read. And I think that building lore, building horror, building these monsters in the shadows is a talent of his that he possibly couldn't exercise as much as he would want to in the regular universe with characters that are already established and been established, he's really, really seemingly having fun with this Joker stuff. And the best part about it is, there's a lot of talk about like, is Joker insane? Is he so smart that he's not crazy? Like, I'm done with all that. I don't have time for any of that. But this Joker is actually a genius. And the best part about this character, in my opinion, is he susses out in Absolute Universe. Absolute Evil #1. It's Grimm that unveils the Omega particle, a form of moral gravity he claims proves the universe is designed for the strong to dominate the weak. Heroes like Batman are a glitch to this order, so to enforce it, Grimm gathers the world's most ruthless elites, and considers them the world's justice. Gotham is just one test case in his mission to prove that hope overall is a biological error. And having that proof, that dark side, that Omega particle, it's just confirmed. Think of if a white supremacist found an actual proof of scientific superiority, right? What he would do moving forward. That's what's happened here with Joker. You know what I'm saying? He already had some of these machinations in his mind, but now he's gotten proof that only the strong survive. He's on the right side of history. Oh, it's a fucking wrap.
he's got to create his Justice League. They have to stop these nasty little things. And
Mm-hmm.
so then what the fuck? Like, I honestly, it's such a small thing. It's such a small thing, right? But I can't wait to find out what they name this group of absolute heroes, right? Because they're
Oh
not gonna
yeah.
be the absolute Justice League. So, like, what are they? Like, it better not be like absolute injustice. I'm
Society.
a fucking
Yeah,
if
absolute society. We live
I
in a
will go.
society.
I don't even know. Do you want the word absolute in it though? Like, should it
Absolute
be absolute?
society of superheroes. Ass.
Abs- I I absolute doom.
It can't be absolute
Ab,
because they can't be aware of their own title.
I know, right? I know, but like the ultimates
Yeah,
exist.
yeah, that is
You
true.
know, like
That is true.
and what about this universe makes it absolute, right? So
Right.
I maybe it's got to be absolute something, but if
The
he
Omega
fucking says
League? The Alpha League?
absolute
That sounds
Omega
like
Men,
the
no, the
Alpha League
Omega Men
sounds
are
like
already in
a
Superman.
men's self-help group or something. The Alpha
We're the
League.
Alpha League.
Yeah.
We don't need women in our lives. We only love each other.
uh,
Any
can I see that script?
uh you sure that says alpha? The anyway, I think that's all that like you said, Joker being so smart that he figured out the way the universe works. Like he essentially figured out that because he doesn't know that Darkseid did this, but because Darkseid created this world, and it's because of Darkseid's energy that flows through this universe. God damn it, he's right.
I,
That
I
that's
I
so
just think
good.
of how terrifying validation is. The worst people of this world, right? Like that's all they want. That's all they've been waiting for. Validation, and to get it, like I don't know, it's really
You
messes with the mind here.
it's it speaks to the Joker, like you said, discovering this Omega particle and knowing that and knowing in himself that his evil ways are right because the Omega particle says so. It speaks to like anyone who agrees with this ice shit and
Yeah,
says like, but it's the law. You know, I know it's the law. It's right. It's the law. You watch these videos and you see these bad things and you see they're objectively bad. And instead of being like, well, maybe that's not right, you're like, it's the fucking law. I don't feel bad. That's exactly what Joker's doing here. Like this Justice League, there's
yeah.
justice. It's the law. We're enforcing order.
Hmm.
That order is wrong. That order is morally wrong.
100%.
You know, like so again,
The
this
thing is,
book just continues.
yeah, and to speak to your point, like the confirmation that what he's doing is right, might makes right, and all that kind of stuff makes Batman's resilience even more badass because he is literally fighting against the system. He is literally outmatched, outgunned. This hope, this resiliency shouldn't permeate. It shouldn't exist. It is the that single-celled organism that climbed onto the fucking right, the bead of sand and became, life. And he can't manage to squash it, even with the universe on his side. He can't manage to squash it, and he's gonna fucking try his damnedest to do so. So, is there anything else you want to say about Absolute Joker? If not, we can get on the Absolute Annual closeout.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm pretty much I as far as Absolute Joker, we don't know enough yet, but I'm excited to see what comes next with him, even though we're not going directly into Joker. We are dealing with Poison Ivy next.
These are all
So
fingers on the same hand,
but
right?
yeah. These are all part of the Arc M thing, which is all controlled by Joker. So we will get some more developments on that. But I feel like we probably won't deal with him directly until like, you know, the
Issue
middle.
30, right? 1530.
Yeah. The middle.
They've already fleshed out that
Uh,
we're dealing with Joker. I'm sorry, with Ivy, and then Scarecrow for a bit. So we'll be dealing with that for a little while as Eric Kanate. It's on art.
yes.
Um,
Yeah, that's gonna be that looks good.
yeah, it does. So we have already been reading this stellar book. It's already amazing. We just got off the bane of it all, Abomination, and the Joker issue comes out, but before the Joker issue comes out, we get um the Absolute Batman Annual #1. I like I struggle to talk because not only is it a super cool issue, it's like one of the most badass annuals I've ever read, and comes off of a stellar arc already. A lot of times these annuals feel a little bit removed. They become love letters to the character, and sometimes that is at the expense of the story. This manages to do both. And working on writing and on art is our boy Daniel Warren Johnson, who I have been a fan of since Do a Powerbomb, followed him through other series, went back and read his Beta Ray Bill, went back and read Extremity. I know he's killing it right now on The Moon is Following Us. And Wonder Woman. We just covered Wonder Woman Dead Earth not that long ago. And his stellar work on that. And this this is a book you can feel. This book has a sound. It's crackling fire, and it's thunder, and it's loud, and it's angry and unrefined. And it gels perfect with his art, with Johnson's art, because I feel like that's kind of what his art is. It is messy and dirtier and grittier, and this story, because it's 3 stories in this book. His first story kind of tackles some of his early time in Batmaning. So before we get into it, do you remember picking up this book and reading through it? Do you remember how you felt when you first read it?
I remember knowing that he was going to get on the annual and knowing that he was angry about the things that were happening and that he said that he was going to take out that anger in the book.
I did not get that context.
Yeah, so I knew, I was like, okay, this is going to be great. But then I think like it had to be right before this, where it might have been, but right before, or right after, where he does the sketch. I mean, it had to be before, where he does the sketch of Batman, absolute
That's
Batman,
before.
choking out the Ice Agent.
That's
And so,
before.
like, we were already coming into this book with the energy, like, it was already, like, you already knew it was about to be some shit. Like, you definitely, if I knew it was going to be some shit, I was like, oh boy, it's coming. I was excited. I hadn't realized that they had done the Nazi thing already in that first appearance, or I would have been even more ready. But, yeah.
Yeah, this comes out on October 29th, uh, roughly 4 or 5 weeks shy of the assassination of a very prominent political commentator that then caused a lot of people to kind of glance over the very horrific racist and sexist things he said, almost allowing permission for everyone to share those beliefs. And then the kind of performative pearl clutching of like, well, we can, I should be able to say racist things, and it's just a matter of a disagreement between me and you, John. Like it's just a difference of opinion. Red, you like red, I like green. I don't
I
like these
can't
people,
believe
and you.
you attacked that guy for just saying he had a different opinion. He was just expressing himself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So in the midst
Express
of
yourself
that,
around me. I,
there you
dare,
go,
I
there you
dare
go,
you.
there you go.
I dare.
But it was in the middle of that anger that this country was going through, as fake performative actors pretended to not understand why people were not crying their eyes out over the death of this person in particular. And I just felt like this issue came and landed on my lap at a perfect fucking time. We also had just dealt with I mean, dare I say, sort of crazy situation with the Red Hood book, right? Where literally the day that Charlie Kirk passes away, the writer mentions that he was a Nazi and the book gets canned. So I'm looking at all comic books right now in that space, and I'm like, I wonder who's going to be the next person to try to slip some. Now, she was a little bit too direct with what she had to do, and I bet pretty new to be on the chopping block here. But I applaud Daniel Warren Johnson for tackling this not only in this story, but continuing to fundraise for it, continuing to provide sketches for it. I said in my rant in regards to sketches like his that he could just sit back and collect checks. He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to defend the the people that the government doesn't even want to defend, but he's doing so, and that just makes me a bigger fan of his.
I do. I think I don't know. This might get me a hot water. I just think there's a difference in between what he is doing and what others have done by like drawing and like
Saying,
putting out the message,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like or saying
yeah,
that this is wrong is different from what the Red Hood lady did.
oh, 100%.
Because I think the Red Hood lady, listen, I, I'm saying agree or disagree. You got to be aware of your own. You got to be aware of your own,
Read
like
the room.
yourself. You got to have some sort of survival skills, bro. You work here, like you work for fucking Warner Brothers, essentially. Like
Yeah,
you really gonna tweet like a celebratory thing on this day? Like maybe just hold it in, like relax. If you can express solidarity with with people in a different way,
yeah.
like rather than celebrating a death essentially. Not I don't think anybody is obligated to give empathy, but but you know good lord,
Don't put
it's
yourself on the chopping
public.
block.
Jesus.
What's interesting, like you said, is that we have all these provocative images from Daniel Warren Johnson. Very rarely do these images accompanied by a caption.
It's just because you don't need to say anything. Like,
No, but I
what
think
else do
if
you
he
need to say?
did, you know what I'm saying? I think if he did, then people get to pick apart, and people get to repost, and
Yeah,
people get to kind of make
there's always that.
something out of
Yeah,
him that it isn't. By just putting the image out there and kind of like walking away, it's really interesting because these entire fiery fervors of conversation happen, and he's just like, "That's just my opinion." Like, that's just the picture, bro. Like, argue with yourself.
and then it's like Optimus Prime saving people from ICE agents. Like that's positive as fuck. Like I don't care what you think, man. That's positive as fuck. Like there's no way to misinterpret that. Like oh, it's evil, bad. That's a good thing. Like
Yeah,
and the same goes for the absolute Batman annual. I they did the ice they did the he did the ice sketch. The book has that energy, and then they like redid the drawing, but he's like choking out a Nazi,
yeah.
and they released like 100 of those, and I fucking got one or 1,000, but I got one, and that shit you guys see this thing. You
Okay,
gotta see this thing. It is also signed. And then he drew a little Batman on it.
look at
It's
that.
the greatest thing it's the greatest goddamn thing I own. It's incredible. My wife bought it for me. I was like, oh shit. I thought it was gonna be like $25. I walked in there. I didn't think it was gonna be $25. I thought the cover would be like $25 to buy it by itself.
Yes.
And they were like, it's a fucking $80 or whatever, or 100 remarked sign. And I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm not going to buy this shit. And then she just bought it. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that thing is like my favorite thing in my collection, I think, right now. One of the modern things, anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
to to be signed too is cool as fuck. But the message, goddamn it, this imagery right here is powerful. It's something I want to uh, push. It's something I want to promote. I advocate this message. Damn it, we choke Nazis in here. I
Yeah.
wish that they could have printed the ICE agent, but I'm sure that someone at Warner Brothers was like, relax,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know. But I'll take the Nazi.
And again, like I said, I still think that it takes a level of bravery. I think that, to open yourself up to that conversation, to open yourself up to those who are opposed to what you believe is a lot. But what does it matter if you don't say something now? If like now of all times, right? Like there's literally things going on in the street. Like if you can turn a blind eye to that, I don't know if I really want to like find out where the Eye of Agamotto is. You understand what I'm saying? Like that kind of shit going on outside. You feel me? And I'm not comic books serve as a level of escapism, but they are also, tales of our social lives in this world. And they are, often masked with superpowers and capes and stuff like that. But yeah, I really, really dug his ability to tackle that even through the guise of what happens through the absolute universe, because it's not straight up, like one for one. They find some swamp people to beat up in in this. And from Florida, yeah, I mean, being in Florida now, I totally get them. But let's get into it a bit. Um, the story is set during the earliest days of Bruce's crusade. He's a raw nerve traveling to the lawless Slaughter Swamp to buy high-grade black market artillery. He's intercepted by a group of white supremacists led by a hateful man named DJ, who are terrorizing a migrant camp. Message. Bruce jumps in to protect a mother and a child, but is brutally overwhelmed. He hasn't mastered the Batman theory yet. He's just a man who with a lot of anger and no armor. Bruce is rescued by Father Peters, a pacifist priest who embodies the peaceful, community-driven ideals of Thomas Wayne. Dialogue between the two is emotional anchor of the issue. Peters argues that by using violence, Bruce is simply feeding the machine that killed his parents. Through Daniel Warren Johnson's signature visceral flashbacks, we see Thomas teaching Bruce that the most powerful thing you can do is help someone who can never help you back. Bruce is caught between his father's legacy of peace and the absolute reality that some monsters only understand a broken jaw. When Batman returns to the camp, the art explodes. Daniel Warren Johnson treats the action like a professional wrestling match. And we have several panels to go down. First of all, they're doing. I want the second printing cover. I want the flamethrower cover. I'm not a big second printing person. Like, oh, they just have a different picture on the front. But like, I like the cover as it is because it's him against, like, it's him facing off against the Nazis. He needs to be bigger on that bitch. He needs to be all over it, covered in flames, shooting that flamethrower. I want both. But look at that imagery right there. Look at him standing on the bodies of supremacists as their flag burns in his background. Come on, man.
Is that this week?
What is? Yes.
Second printing
tomorrow or
fuck
today. Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna try to pick one up.
I gotta go. I didn't put it on my. I didn't put it on my
right
subscription
back.
because I wasn't thinking about it. It's too late. It's too late. You can only do it a week behind because they have the shipments that come in on like Monday or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but I wrote that down, so I'm like, I need to get that. But yeah, and absolutely amazing there. There's several amazing moments. This one caught a lot of people's attention when someone attempts to do a Heil Hitler, a moment of pure catharsis. Batman snaps the arm of a neo-Nazi. We learned that the massive tank-like vehicle that becomes a Batmobile was born out of this need to take on these guys here. What is your take on this panel here? This breaking of an arm.
It was so funny because I woke up the morning this book came out.
Yeah.
And the panels were everywhere already. Like I was like, shit. Like I gotta get off the internet right now. This was like the first thing I saw.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first thing I saw from the book. So I knew I was like, oh, this is awesome. I can't like all-time image. Like that's gonna be remembered forever. That's the energy that this Batman brings to all of society right now. Like it's encapsulated in this image, this whole image, because it's like there's a Nazi salute and then the arm break. That together, that's the energy that absolute Batman brings to today. Like just crashes into what's going on right now. Fuck this. You know, that's basically what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how I felt about that. It was awesome.
No, you're right, 100%. I remember these panels coming out early. I remember people. This was one of the funniest moments in comic book internet history because then people started to get mad. And you're like, what are you getting mad about? Who are you defending in this situation here? Oh, if it would have been a black person, what are you talking? Why are you making things up? Why are you just making fucking false equivalencies up? People just started outing themselves all the time. Like, oh, he's taking down good good old Americans and stuff like that. Like, no, that's not the Americans I fucking know. Um, so yeah, that was hilarious. Having a bunch of people out themselves, they were offended that the Nazi got beat up.
Oh, it was a funny conversation because it, it's obvious. Like at this point, it's there's nothing nuance about it. If a person got mad, you can just laugh at them. You could just dunk on them because it's like, oh, you're a
Self
dumbass. Or
own.
you're
It
a
was a
piece of
complete self own in
you're
that moment.
you're a complete piece of shit. You got a tattoo on your head that says dick. Like so that was a real fun day. And then like you mentioned, the one winged angel. You're
Oh, here
talking
we go.
about
Oh,
absolute
look
Batman.
at
He comes in here,
that.
gets a big boot, and then drops a one winged angel. Kenny Omega's one winged angel on a damn ice agent.
What's
Ah,
most impressive about this is like the final panel aside, right? Because you see the final panel, like, damn, he really gave it to him there. But to ensure that there is no question that it is the one wing angel, we have the setup panel. We have the setup over the shoulder head tuck panel,
boom!
and he is showing you here why it's important to tuck your opponent's head in, because Batman doesn't tuck his head in
No,
enough.
we came to break racist necks.
Yeah, he didn't tuck his head in. The guy's kicking out of that. But like,
Now,
it's one thing to give me, like the end of Sinners, right? Just mowing down a bunch of supremacists. That's always hilarious. But if at the end of Sinners he would have RKO'd one of the guys, it would have changed the game. And that's what this was to me. I'm like, not only am I already loving it, throwing wrestling moves in this shit too. And I've seen him put rainmakers. He loves throwing in a stiff fucking B trigger every once in a while. Stiff knee right to the jaw. But like I this image, I love it, and as somebody who loves professional wrestling and Batman as well, I know this had to pop you.
God, it was perfect. It was awesome because I know, like, I, I know that there's a corporate synergy going on right now with like AEW and DC Comics, but this didn't come from that. Like, it came from Daniel Warren Johnson promising a fan a long time ago, I'm gonna have Batman doing a damn one winged angel in the comic book, and then finally finding that perfect moment, and it's a damn ice agent. Ah, man, so awesome. It should also be mentioned, like, Scott Snyder insists that no one was killed.
Yes.
He says regardless of how it looked, everyone survived.
Does this look
So
like a murderer to you, Con? Does this
uh,
man screaming in the rain does it look
yes.
like a murderer?
Yes.
You know it. You know what it felt like, and I'm not one of those hurt people should hurt people kind of things, but it felt like a bully bullying bullies. You know, it felt like a bigger bully. Like, like you
Yeah.
swam into too big of a fucking pond, and now this big bully's gonna bully your little. Because that's what they're doing. They're bullying women and children, right? They're bullying migrants, people who don't speak the same language, who don't have homes to go home to, and then they get bullied. They get picked on, and then again, like I said, so then to have the fake pearl clutching of like, and any time that this happens, right? Anytime that someone gets poked, and they react violently, it becomes, oh, now people are violent, and it's like, you pushed people here, and then you wonder what happens when they get here. This is what happens.
Yeah. No,
This is my
exactly.
way.
There's there's the priest. There's a priest.
Yeah,
The
we're talking about
priest who
Father.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
his name? Peters?
Father I forgot his fucking
I
name.
think it's Peters.
But he acts as a challenge to this to this actions, to
Yeah,
these
it's
actions
Father Peters. Yep.
the whole way through. And at first it's kind of like, as Bruce is like, get your ass out of the way. You're annoying. You're in the
Yep.
way with your preachy bullshit. But you can kind of see it begin to weigh on him. And I guess we'll get into it right now.
Well, yeah. That's the I that's the thing, right? You have the priest character say what needs to be said in these comics, like what needs to be said, right? Like, let's get the message across that we shouldn't murder our enemies, etc., and so forth. And it would have been fine for Batman to just be like, okay, whatever, and then still do what he did here. And what he did here is unapologetically cool. I'll say it. I'll be the first to say it. It's unapologetically badass. But what puts this ahead of other like revenge porn, we're just coming through and getting ours after we got sort of stories, is that Batman really sits with it. After all the villains are gone and there's no heroic pose. It's Batman, the biggest, baddest, badass on the block, weeping in the mud, mourning the fact that to save these people, he had to become a creature that his father would barely recognize. And it just levels this idea of sacrifice and how much you have to sacrifice to get the job done. But ultimately, realizing that to becoming that monster, that creature, is always a choice. You can talk to the high heavens about he made me, she made me, I wouldn't be this way if A, B, or C. But ultimately, if you become one of these monsters, it's always a choice. It's a conscious choice that you are making. And this entire series is about Bruce Wayne making the choice to not be a monster despite what has happened to him. And that's a word I'm going to be using throughout this whole dissection of the Ultimate Absolute Universe, despite. That's the word that rings to me the most about every single hero in this. Despite the odds, despite the Omega Particle, despite the Justice League, the Joker, money, society, hierarchies, all of that stuff, supremacy, despite, our heroes are still going to fight. And we live in, people want to talk about the 90s. This is, I want to say, the most nihilistic generation. I want to say the generation that could look up snuff films on the internet when YouTube was a fucking wild, wild west. Like that generation, watching Faces of Death or, bum fights or any of that kind of stuff that really makes you wonder about whether society's anything worth a damn. And this book is telling you that nihilism is not the way. It's not what we need right now. Pragmatism, or just like sort of like, oh, it is what it is. The world sucks and it just sucks a bit. No, we ain't got time for that either. You know what I'm saying? More than ever, because the odds are against us, we need to fight. And I feel like the old adage was, live to fight another day. Right? Like, not this fight ain't mine. Not this fight ain't mine. What's happening right now is everyone's motherfucking fight. In some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying you've got to put the gloves on, but realize that you are in a conflict right now, and you are either going to ignore the fact that everyone else is dealing with it, or, start to deal with it yourself.
I don't want to tell anyone how to live their life. I think that everyone has choices to make, and everyone should live with their choices. But when faced with it, the the thoughts you have about it, the way that you internalize it still exists. Like public facing, whether you tell anybody, whether you keep it to yourself, it's how you feel about it that matters the most, because that's in you no matter what. Like, how do you fucking whether you lie about it, how does it make you feel?
Yeah.
That these things are happening? You genuinely enjoy this, then that's something that you have to live with. And history, I promise you, history will write itself one way or another.
Yeah.
It might not be pretty. And we might lose a lot. History will write itself, though. And in the end of the day, they will be on the wrong side of history. And so being public about it or not will probably help you in life or whatever. But at the end of the day, how you felt about it was real.
Yeah.
So when it comes out that you were on the wrong side of history, in your heart, you were one of them.
I guess I always kind of look at it in the historical sense, because you have children, and when they get old and they talk about grandpa, what did grandpa do when they were wrangling up people, in 2025 and 2026? Well, he was very against it. He fund put money towards helping out migrants here and there. He constantly derided ICE. He constantly got content creators on that spoke. Something like, I don't ever want someone to ask what I was doing during some of these moments and be ashamed of where my stance was, because not because of like brownie points or anything, but the stuff that I believe is so strong that it I mean I what I believe for everyone, every race, color, size, all that kind of stuff. And so there's no parsing of like, maybe that ice thing was, no, that shit was fucking wrong. Like, to me, it's just, you start to see shit and it's just wrong. And if I can't call out stuff wrong that I see, and again, if you're on the other side of the spectrum, I bet you there's stuff that you believe or perceive is wrong, whatever. Can't tell you how to live. But we need to get on common ground when it comes to basic decency. We need to get on the common ground when it comes to humanity. And I think, very similar to the absolute universe, I think that the people in charge make way too much money separating us. And I don't say that in the whole like we need to get both sides and of the same bird. I don't mean that in that sense. I mean community. That's what I mean. There's, instead of us being able to carpool, we all have our own cars, right? And instead of us all coming together for a pay-per-view, we all have the app. So what does it matter? We're not gathering anymore. We're not connecting anymore. We're not challenging each other anymore. Everyone is by themselves, and the world is squeezing out. Instead of $10 from a group of people who bought a pizza, everyone's buying a pizza now. So now they get $10 from every single fucking person. The more they separate, the more money they are able to get from every single person, and that is what's causing this great level of divide and inability to see what the other person is saying or thinking about or believing. Where I come from, your Halo group would be diverse, right? Your WWE group will be diverse. If you're listening to music in high school, all that kind of stuff, the stuff that we really care about does bring us together. And I hope that through this book, people find community with other comic book readers, writers, artists. I hope it inspires people to make provocative art about the time that we're living in, because that stuff gets cemented. It changes perception, changes people's minds. And I hope in finding that community, in dealing with provocative art that challenges what we believe, we become better. Right. That's what I'm hoping overall is the thing here. If you don't have anything on that, I'll run through the last two stories.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we have Sanctuary by James Harren. This is a backup story that's kind of like a survival horror story, because it follows a group of the party animals, the remnants of Roman's gang, who are on the run and desperate. The gang invades a suburban home, taking a family hostage to use as a shield. One of the gang members is actually the son of the homeowner, adding a whole layer of tragic familial betrayal to the mix. The story is told from the perspective of the terrified criminals. Batman is never shown in full light. He is a force of nature moving through the walls and the shadows. Harren's art makes Batman look like an urban legend. He doesn't just punch, he deconstructs the room. By the time the police arrive, the gang is found incapacitated in ways that suggest they weren't fought by a man, but by the house itself. It reinforces the idea that in this universe, Batman is the thing that goes bump in the night. I actually really like this story, but I also like the idea that it wasn't Batman, in full perspective there. And then we have The City Watches by Meredith McLaren. Super short. And this is basically what I gleaned of it, because it's a short story that's kind of a character study that focuses on the myth of Batman. The story moves through various citizens of Gotham, a cynical journalist, a hopeful child, a weary GCPD officer, as they kind of explain who Batman is. Explores how Bruce Wayne has become a symbol for the working class, and how like the grassroots support of Batman has come from him saving the everyday person. This is the kind of stuff I was saying that we weren't seeing in the regular series, the cat out of the tree kind of stuff. And it wasn't no cats, but you get what I'm saying, like the smaller scale heroism that Absolute Batman was able to kind of portray there. But yeah, with that being said, that is 15 issues of Absolute Batman, an annual and absolute evil, and on the Arc M special for the most part. There's still so much to talk about with this book, so much more to delve into. But this is a supersized episode already, so I want to thank everyone for listening. Is there anything you want to say about Absolute Batman before we wrap this up?
No, I pretty much we've said everything we've had to say. I'd said everything I could say about Batman right now, Absolute Batman, but I think in about 25 or so issues we'll be right back here talking about it.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Um, we're coming up to the 10-year anniversary of Comic Book Click, and I gravitated around comics because of the stories that it tells and how it inspires people to be more than what they are. And this series, this book, this annual is that and more. So I can never get tired about talking about this stuff, but I'm hoping it implores you guys to read it, to continue your journey through the Absolute Universe, and we will continue our journey through the Absolute Universe in our next episode. We tackle Absolute Superman. And I can't wait. But thank you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you were watching live on Facebook, thank you guys for that as well. We do this podcast as a labor of love each and every week. The lives go up spontaneously, but the episode it comes out in audio form each and every week on Thursday in your favorite podcast app of choice: Podbean, Stitcher, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. If you want to find the Major Issues Podcast, just Google us, Major Issues Podcast, and we'll be the first ones to pop up. But you can go to ComicBookClique.com, the one-stop shop for everything Comic Book Clique. We have articles there. We have our merchandise there. Our international review team. You are just being covered in supremacy. The international review team is killing the game. Love you guys. Thank you guys for all your hard work. Killing the game there. John is being a walking panel at the moment using his green screen. But yeah, go check out some of our reviews. We put out new reviews for comics every single day. We have articles written by us, editorials, and then every episode of the Major Issues Podcast. This is episode 417, which means there's 416 other episodes, which means there's like 800 hours of content that you guys get to check out. And so go ahead and check out all those things there. If you want to help us out monetarily, consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse, where for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us afford the hardware and the software we need, keep our content free of charge, and keep the lights on. So there's several ways you can support us monetarily. The Patreon, you can go to comicbookclique.com and buy a t-shirt, or maybe help us grow. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Major Issues Podcast, about Comic Book Clique, and help us grow that way. Because we're on Facebook.com/ComicBookClique, Instagram at ComicBookClique, and we use the hashtag ComicBookClique to talk about the latest and greatest things to come to comic book media. We're at Major Issues CBC on Twitter, at Major Issues CBC on Twitch, and we just got a Blue Sky account. So check us out over there on Blue Sky. I don't know how that works. We're Comic Book Clique. ComicBookClique.bluesky.
I guess. Never been there.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, we're back. Yeah. So check out that there. A rising tide raises all ships. So just, if you're digging the podcast, check out some of the reviews, check out the podcast, check out the lives, go on Facebook, check out all that stuff. And if you exhaust yourself on things Comic Book Clique, just head over next door on comicbookclique.com to dirtyradio.com, where those guys, Dirty Radio, are the industry leaders in all things professional wrestling and pop culture. Our boy Jonathan Escudero runs a tight ship and provides post-show coverage and live show coverage for the biggest names in the game. It's almost a daily occurrence at this point, and on the weekends, sometimes triple duty. It is a labor of love. He's busting his butt. You're working very, very hard. Tell the people what you do over there at Dirty Radio.
Come check us out, man. It's Dirty Radio. We're the greatest in wrestling and entertainment, not sports and entertainment, because we don't really cover sports.
I do pop culture. That's what I
I was thinking, it was pop culture for so long, and then at some point, it blends in to it's not like TMZ. I don't give a fuck about relationships. I certainly don't care about relationships.
I think like Sharkeisha is pop culture. He's not entertaining.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
but then it's like the Oscars.
Yeah,
because you cover movies and stuff. So it's like I noticed that's how I've been categorized. That's what they push me out as. So I was
like, bro. Let's put it
They
on
put
with
me
the
in a box. It's a good box. I like the box. I like the box.
I've been looking for a very long time for your tombstone inscription, and I think that's what it's gonna be.
It's
I
a
like
good
the
box.
box.
Wait, why are you looking for my tombstone inscription? I'm not
Don't
ready.
worry about that. Just sign these power of attorney attorney forms real quick.
I'm not ready. Come check us out on Dirt Sheet Radio, man. We're everywhere. Just Google us. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. What's the other one? TikTok. Check us out everywhere. We're everywhere. Not on Blue Sky though. You gotta follow Comic Book Click over there.
Yeah.
Definitely check us out though.
Yes, please do. So we are coming close to 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is one viewer watching currently. So I want to tell this one viewer not only thank you for watching us, but we're getting Daniel Warren Johnson. Me and Jader Escudero, maybe one other member of the clique, will be interviewing Daniel Warren Johnson this Thursday. Writer, artist of the Absolute Batman Annual, plus The Moon is Following Us, plus Wonder Woman Dead Earth, plus Transformers. I didn't even bring up Transformers last time, bro.
Wow, wow.
Trans freaking Formers. We're gonna talk everything from comic book to professional wrestling. I might even get him to slander a politician or two. We'll see what happens. But it's gonna be all anarchy and all the fun in the world. And yeah, man, we continue to get these tremendous opportunities because of your support. Thank you guys for following. Thank you guys for liking, and continue to do so. We will be here next week with Absolute Superman. Oh my, there's nothing
Yes.
left to say, but my name is George Serrano. Oh, I'm gonna say Absolute the Don. See, my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
And this is Absolute John, aka Yogi.
And this has been our Dissecting Absolute Batman conversation as part of our Absolute Universe 101. And remember, despite the lack of money, despite the lack of power, despite the lack of influence, we're together. We got each other. Remember that you are the clique. And always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy. Thanks, guys.